Hello and good evening, everybody. It's going to be an exciting finale. We're here in Circuit of the Americas in a scorching hot summer day here, despite the fact that it's in the middle of winter here. But let's disregard that because it's going to be the finale, the final race, the epic showdown of the Silver, the AM class, and the overall class to see who will be the champion in this very exciting and very turbulent season. So I'm going to be excited for this one for sure.
Yeah, I hope drivers have their ACs cranked in their cars, as you see 38°C air temperature as well as 45°C track temperatures. If you're not standing still on this track, your tires are definitely melting away as you drive here. But yeah, the final race here. Sorry, I couldn't join last week, but it seems like we are coming in here with a very interesting race coming ahead of us.
Yes, it's going to be a very interesting race with the very chaotic Watkins Glen race we had last week. It really shook up the pack here in both the overall and in the Silver Championship, and we can also, with fairly large confidence, say that after Vex's dominant streak all throughout the entire season, he's been able to almost completely secure the championship going into the final round. Yes, we are having still a couple more drivers connecting to the server and getting ready for the driving here, but I want to be having a quick look at the points we have right now because we have about 6 minutes left to go before the actual start of the race here. So if we're going to be moving on over to our points tab, just give me a sec. So, starting off with our overall category, we are having quite a big shakeup here. We have Caffey able to, for the first time, beat Plasma in the overall standings and get into the lead of the championship. But unfortunately, Caffey is not participating in this race. They have fallen ill, so they have unfortunately not going to be starting this race here, which is going to be giving Plasma a fairly hefty advantage into this race here. But Grim and Azure, they are both still in this race here. They have a chance of perhaps clinching the title from Plasma, because we have seen in the past where an unfortunate incident into the pit lane or a spin at an unfortunate time is going to be putting Plasma way down the field there, which is going to be giving Grim and Plasma, not Plasma, but Grim and Azure the opportunity to get into the lead of the championship. So that's going to be something I would absolutely be looking forward to here.
Yeah, it's going to be... Plasma will have to really make sure that they finish with, minimal mistakes this time around. No disqualification from spinning the pit lane, no funny business with back markers if there's ever any. Just want to compete a safe race. They might want to just let drivers in front fight it out, just so they could eke out points, because at the end of the day, so long as Plasma finishes tonight, they're definitely going to be bringing it home tonight.
Yes, and we're also going to be having a very exciting race in the Silver class category here, with Luna also not competing in the last round. This also, by the way, is going to be the results we have calculated with the drop rounds included. So we can see here in the Silver class, we have Vossi, Blade, Luna, all within just a few points of each other here. Vossi's going to be holding a slight marginal lead here going into this final round of 4 points, but Blade and Luna are right behind them. So again, as we have seen in the overall category, just a single incident, just a single crash on poor pit stop or a drive-through penalty, because this is going to be a track with lots of very strict track limits. So it's going to be a very decent likelihood that somebody's going to be going in over those track limits a bit too fast. That's going to be causing them to get those drive-through penalties. That could throw this championship wide open here. So that's going to be something I will very much be looking forward to here. But to wrap things up, as we also have the AM class championship, where things are looking quite dominant for Vex here, and just short of Vex just not crashing into the pit lane and retiring their car completely, I think they have this championship here in the back. As we can see, it's a whopping 10-20 point difference to Zezor's currently sitting in P2 here. So it's pretty much, we have Zezor's and Vex both on the server, as I can confirm. But just short of Vex just retiring from the race completely, I think this is going to be in the back for Vex.
Yeah, Vex has shown to be very dominating this time around. And I think they are definitely in for a promotion this time around. But yeah, so long as Vex keeps it clean. As you're saying as well, pit entry here is very, very tricky. Similar to Kailami, where there is a very sharp left-hander. It's actually sharper than the corner in Kailami, so drivers have to slow real down coming into a pit entry, just so they don't, one, speed in the pit lane, and two, crash into the barrier. That will definitely be very costly for drivers coming in here.
Yes, it's a very similar pit lane to how we have it in Kailami, where if you just go a bit too fast into that pit lane, there's going to be a very tight left-hand turn immediately after you go into the pit entry. So yeah, there could be a risk if you send it a bit too fast, you're going to be ending up in the wall here. So we're going to be hoping that that's not going to be the case, as we now are reaching into the final 2 minutes of our practice session here, where it's going to be time for qualifying. And the qualifying is going to be a very interesting one as well here, because it's going to be a very, very long track. It's going to be a split qualifying of 3 different classes. So in the first 10 minutes, we're going to be having the AD and the Nationals driving. In the next 10 minutes, it's going to be our Silver class, and finally it's going to be wrapped up by the Pro class for the final 10 minutes. So with average lap times being here in the 2-minute 7s, 2-minute 8s, you're really not going to have that many chances to actually do valid laps around here, especially with how restricted the track limits are.
Yeah, I think if my calculations are right, you only have time for 4 laps, and you have to make those 4 laps work. Not to mention that you have your track limits, you have the temperature of the tires, as well as track conditions, all against you in this track, given how difficult Sector 1 is, especially as we see Simon Luck coming into these few sectors. Very, very weird track limits. If you run a bit wide, you might get your lap invalidated in qualifying, but in the race you might get yourself a track warning cut, and you definitely do not want that when you have only 4 laps to make it count here in COTA.
Definitely. It's also going to be something in the exit of turn 9, as we see just right here. It's going to be a very fast right-hand corner. It's going to be very tricky on the entry of the inside curve and also on the exit, because in both of those cases, the track limits are very strict. So you have a very fine, narrow line you need to be taking your car through in order to have a valid lap here. That's also going to be providing some excitement or some challenges into the actual racing as well, because throughout the entire that Sector 2 area towards that first hairpin on this main straight that Simon Luck is currently on, there's not going to be a lot of spaces for cars to go side by side. So it's all going to be down to if the leading car ahead is going to be making a mistake, it's going to be giving the opportunity for the car behind to get those sets done. So especially here we see in the Sector 3 area as well, very narrow, very tight track here. It's going to be causing more like a single file racing happening here, but hopefully if our drivers are up to their par on their racecraft, they should be able to maybe sneak a nose in here, especially towards the sweeping right hand here, and maybe make a move forward to the final turn 19, turn 20 corners.
Yeah, opportunities are definitely present, but if you really want to make sure that you do not compromise on your lap times, as well as not compromise time to the drivers behind you when you're racing, it's definitely the best idea to be in single file here, as you see Simon practicing that pit entry successfully without hitting the wall. As you can see, the pit entry has a very sharp corner there. When you miss, you do not have the luxury of just bouncing off the wall as you do it in Kailami as well as Laguna Seca. You will get smacked right in the face. So this is definitely not a place where you do not practice your pit entry. As we see, Simon Luck definitely wants to do that practice. And yeah, definitely a very tricky track. A lot of things going against here. So hopefully drivers are well prepared coming into this race.
Hopefully, indeed. And now we're seeing Plasma going for a very dominant lap time in the end of the practice session here, of dominant 2 minutes 6.8. We saw in the previous practice session before the server went live, they were able to get all the way down into a low 2:06, almost rushing into a 2-minute 5-second here. So we're going to be watching very closely to see if Plasma is going to be able to replicate that kind of result for the actual qualifying session. That's going to be starting here in a couple of minutes. We're still waiting for a couple of our drivers to go around the track here, but it looks to be a fairly slim pickings on our track so far, because we're looking at the end of the practice session. We only have 23 cars as opposed to the almost 50 that we had in the start of the season. That's going to be just the natural attrition throughout the Simufur seasons here, but it's going to be perhaps a bit of a sigh of relief for our competitors, where it's not going to be as chaotic as we witnessed in the earlier rounds.
Less chaos is good, especially in COTA. Even though the track here is very wide, there's optimally only one line that gets you through here, and anything outside of the optimum line is definitely going to compromise your lap times significantly. You might see yourself dropping in 5 positions just from battling side to side, so drivers really have to think about it close as they race. As we see drivers almost going side by side during practice, that's definitely a big no-no, more because of common courtesy more than anything. But yeah, definitely it's going to be interesting to see the 20 drivers that have decided to participate today, see how they react to the very gruesome conditions here at our finale.
Absolutely, indeed. Now we're seeing the final ones of our cars going over the finish line here and wrapping up this practice session here in COTA. Now it's going to be time for qualifying in a couple more minutes, so it's going to be waiting to see who will be the first one to go out of the pits here in our AM classification. If I have my time correct, yes, indeed, we have our 30-minute qualifying. So we're going to be starting with our AM and national drivers here. And looking at the map so far, I do believe it's going to be our resident dominant Louis driver of Vex in the Ferrari 296. We're going to be now switching back to our main where we can see them now getting ready for their first lap around this track here. And especially with how warm the track is right now, there's not going to be an issue of getting your tires up to temperature, but what you're going to have to be very careful about is keeping your tires within that temperature window, because it's going to be very easy for your tires to just get overheated. We're still looking at 45-degree track temperatures here, so I'm pretty sure all of our drivers are going to be going with maximum open brake ducts here to keep their tires as cool as possible.
Yeah, but also you have to remember as well, you do not want to open them too much, mainly because you want to make sure that your brakes perform in the braking zones. Too cold, and you might see your brakes not perform as good as you would like them to as well. But you do make a point, tires here very, very hot, so drivers, the conventional way would be to warm up the tires before before qualifying. I think some of the drivers might want to just make sure they don't warm them up too much and actually do cool downs during the warm up, just to make sure that they have optimum temperature where it counts, especially in Sector 1 and especially after the very long straights in Sector 2 and coming into Sector 3, because if you do not have the grip coming into corners here, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Definitely, indeed. And now going into this final Sector 3 here through the very Tilke-like twisty turns 12 through all the way to turn 90 here. It's going to be very tricky for our drivers to keep their car balanced as well and keeping those tires into the optimum temperature. It's going to be a lot of just weaving left and right here. So it's going to be bringing your temperatures up. So it's going to be down to if they can just go quietly there. I think we're going to be seeing the drivers going a bit more quietly on their outlaps here to just get their tires into the right window here, not heat them too much for the first lap around here. Now we're going to be seeing Vex in a pretty dominant lead so far. And also, having another look at our entry list here, we have no sign of Azure Goat nor Grimbolith, so I think at this point, unless Plasma just does not score a single point in this run and retires, that's going to be Plasma pretty much secured in the lead of the championship. But we're going to be returning to that there because now it's going to be time for Vex to take us on at the first lap around COTA here, and I think we can take away.
Alright, COTA. Very big track, very long track, but turn 1 up the hill. Very interesting as you come up the hill. It's a bit bumpy, but if you see your braking point just right, you'll brake right as you come up into the hill. Hard on the brakes, but be careful not to lock them up coming into turn 1. A bit off camber coming out on the exit. Pretty good run by Vex. Coming to turn 2 flat out. As you see here, turn 3 under the bridge. So you brake right as you come past under the bridge on the apex. Brake hard into turn 3, 4 sections into 5. Coast it real well if you make sure you control your car well into turn 6. It's going to be a very long kind of double apex kind of way into turn 7. And then you gotta be very patient here into turn 8. Hug the inside very well before you snap yourself into turn 9. Make sure to not overrun it or else you'll invalidate your lap. Vex does not do that. Really conservative. Coming to turn 10, the small little kink before the hairpin down the back straight at turn 11. Brake right hard here, right on, and also hug the apex as much as you can. Put the power down as much as you can. Make sure you are as straight as you could, just so you don't run wide and hit the sausage curves. If you do, you might send yourself flying. Now, drivers can have a break here, think about their strategies, maybe change what they need on the pit stops before coming into the braking zone here. Hard on the brakes as they come into the next hairpin at turn 12. All very sharp corners here. Make sure you're not too greedy on power, or else you'll run very wide and you will not want to meet the sausage curve at that turn 13. Brake really hard. Turn in, you get a double apex into turn 14. And if you line your car straight enough, you'll get a very late braking into turn 15. There's a lot of corners here that kind of gel together. So long as you keep them right and make sure you don't hit make sure you're not too greedy on the power, definitely won't have issues invalidating as well as ruining your race. Turn 17 and 18, both double right-handers. Gotta be patient on the power, or else you run very wide. Vex is taking a very narrow line to turn 19. Transfers really well. Definitely more space to be had, but coming into turn 20, if he turns in a bit later, might have a good run here, and we'll see the lap times coming in, and we'll see Vex coming in with a 2:08.7, a wonderful time by Vex. Definitely some the times that pros will definitely be competing in. I think that's going to be a very wonderful run. I don't think any other AMS driver is going to be able to answer that time, but what do you think?
it's a very strong opening from Vex for sure. And looking at the next car on the Blue E team here, the Ferrari 296 of Wolfing Foxdale, they are a whopping 3 seconds off Vex's time here, only able to secure themselves a 2-minute 11.8. And everybody else on the track looks so far seems to have not been able to get a valid lap on the board here. So this is going to be going down into those very few opportunities we're going to be having on this track here. We're going to be seeing now Wee's able to get a 2-minute 10.9 here, but we can also see, we already saw in the practice session that was also around 10 minutes that all the drivers were only able to get about 4 laps of time here. So we're already halfway through our first classification here. We've only have half of our drivers able to put any kind of representative time on the board here, so not too easy for our AM class for sure.
Yeah, you don't really have much opportunities, and when M usually means that your consistency is not the best, it really means that every corner counts. It's either you take it safe on the first lap just to get a time in, or you give it all and make sure that you are able to, keep it on track and get a good time. And I think drivers have noticed this and, start to put out safe times first, and then start to try their track limits a little bit more down into the practice session. 3 minutes remaining for the M drivers.
Yes, it is always a good idea to be having a what they call a banker lap first. So it's gonna be a lap that is most of the limit, up to your limit in pace here, but not quite fully sending it in all the corners here, just so you get a lap on the board here. In the case where if you're gonna be then fully sending it in all of your laps, you're gonna be having the risk where you're not gonna be having a single valid lap on the board here. We have seen this also cost some of our drivers in the past year, where especially around COTA, where the track limits are very strict. We have seen a few times where a driver who has been sending a bit too fast has not been able to get a single valid lap on their qualifying board until the end of the qualifying. That's going to be costing them massively here. So we're seeing a couple of our drivers were able to get those banker laps here, where now we are watching on board of Zezors here, currently not on a valid lap so far, but they are looking pretty strong here, going now through into the Sector 3 area here towards turns 13, 14, and 15 here. And yeah, the Lamborghini is going to be having quite a uphill battle if they're going to have any chance of beating Vex for the championship here. But we have still Zezors giving it his all here, as we can see, and we're hoping to get at least up into that silver and pro mix at least we have seen from these two competitors all throughout the season.
Yeah, I think COTA in and of itself very, very difficult. We have seen drivers basically complaining up and down the field this entire weekend, mainly because of 1, track limits, 2, cars will just not want to turn with these kind of track conditions. And honestly, I can't blame them. It's really I'd say a very setup dependent track, where if you don't gel well with the car, if you don't gel well with the setup, you're going to have a very hard time. And these are coming in with a 2:10.3. I think no one's going to be able to answer Vex's lap times here, as qualifying is about to end in 2 minutes. And you see most M drivers are in 2:10s, whereas Vex is the only driver that's in the 2:08s right now.
Yeah, a very strong result from the nominally AM driver here. I'm going to be quite honest here. At the end of this race, I'm going to be expecting Vex to be promoted at least into silver and perhaps into pro, with the kind of competitive times they have been able to put on their Ferrari 296 so far here. And I do see something similar also happening from Zezors, who has been the only other competitor who has been even close to challenging the utter domination of Vex throughout this entire AM championship. And if I'm going to be honest, this also feels quite similar to how we had our previous AM championship, all the way back in the start of 2023, a bit into the end of 2022, and we had a pretty similar situation here where a certain Tiger was able to just dominate through the entire races here, and they had a quick fast-track promotion into the next class.
But I think that's the nature of the AM class. I think a lot of people might assume AM class being the slowest drivers, but actually, I myself think that as we see, these are basically invalidating the lap times. They did, as they ran wide there, a little bit too greedy on the curves. But I was speaking back to what I was saying, M class, it's more for drivers that are a bit inexperienced. It could be that they're inexperienced in the cars they're driving, or they're just a little bit inexperienced in terms of track time. It doesn't mean that they're slow, it just means that consistency is not there. And when you have good consistency, that's when you graduate from the M class. And I say those that have graduated from AM class definitely deserve their graduation from the one that everyone wants to win.
Definitely, indeed. And now we're seeing the last opportunity for our AM class drivers to do their laps on the board. I do believe they're gonna be I think the car 170 of Entermita might just squeak in. No, they're going to be way too late here. So that's unfortunately going to be it for Entermita to get another valid lap on the board here. But let's see if they're going to be able to cross the finish line and get that one final lap as they go across the finish line to turn 20. That car nice and balanced, a bit slow on the exit here, but they were able to get that lap on the board. That's going to be a 2-minute 12.7, putting them into P6 in the AM class here. So pretty decent run from them. But we can already see here, Vex is just completely in that class of his own here, running a 2-minute 8.7 with the only other driver being Weiss in a 2-minute 9.
Yeah, Vex is definitely in for a promotion, but so long as they keep it clean, I think we know where Vex is going to go. I won't be surprised if they are going to be in Silver Pro, maybe, but we always have this issue in Simufur where the pros and the silvers. It's always a debate on where you're supposed to go, and we'll let the bigger community decide where Vex should be in this case. But they definitely are ready to be out of AM.
Yeah, a very well done qualifying session for Vex so far. We do still have Weiss and Wolfing Foxtail and Neo on their own laps as well here. We can see around here, but we already have our 4 silver drivers on track here, getting ready to do some laps around here. We are seeing, I do believe that's going to be the number 15 car of Vossi being the first to lap this track in COTA in this very hot, sweltering weather so far. And it looks like in our silver class, the only competitors we have so far discounting 1v, and yeah, it's going to be only these 3. It's going to be Vossi, Blade, and Luna still competing for a potential title in the silver class here. But it looks like the classifications have already been secured in the AM and overall classes.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of the silver class. It's always so close. When I was in silver, I basically enjoyed my time racing there because it just never is a domination. It's always a fight to the very end, and I'm glad that they are fighting to the very end because it keeps the class interesting, and I can't wait to see who wins this time around for silver champ.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, Vossi is going to be the one with the advantage going into this round here, holding a 4-point lead over Luna and Blade here, but I do want to be giving a big shout out to Luna as well here, because they have been doing some very, very impressive drives throughout this entire season here, especially in the earlier rounds of this race. They were able to get wins and very good podiums that put them all the way up into the lead of the silver class here, and the only reason they are not leading right now is because they were not able to compete in the previous Watkins Glen round here, which dropped them in the standings a little bit here, but I've seen what Luna can do with that McLaren, so I'm pretty sure he can at least give a good challenge for the TCAM Racing Porsche here.
Yeah, our usual silver drivers, Blade, Lunatic, both very experienced drivers, and no doubt they're gonna pull out very impressive racing here. And I can't wait to see how they are gonna perform really well. But also Vossi here as well. You know, they've been performing really well. They've shown that they are definitely very capable and very fast here in Simufur in and of itself. So can't wait to see where Vossi goes next season here as well in Simufur. And definitely all the drivers here, regardless of this is the first 3, 1v also has shown impressive time, as well as Aura. Let's not forget a few underdogs here, regardless of how much difference they are from the first 3 podium spots. They have been doing spectacular jobs here, racing here, and they definitely it's nice to see them race in Simufur.
Yes, indeed. I do want to be giving a bit of a shout out to Blade as well here. He's been a very, very reliable driver here in the silver class. I think they've been in silver here for the past 2 years already, and they have not been able to secure a silver championship yet here. But I feel like this is going to be his best opportunity so far. When they don't seem to have the most ultimate pace here compared to the other cars in the other competitors in the silver class here. But if anything happens between Luna and Vossi, Blade's going to be right there, ready to pounce and ready to capitalize on any mistakes here, and that's going to be his best advantage going into this final race here, where if he could just going to be staying within the heels of the faster and perhaps a slightly more inconsistent silver drivers here, that's going to be his best opportunity to maybe clinch this title into the final round.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Blade will be praying for mistakes that happen between Vossi as well as Lunatic, just so he could walk it home. And I think that will be a very, very interesting result if that ever happens. You know, who knows? Stranger things have happened in finales, so hopefully Blade might get their win. That would be definitely something very interesting.
Indeed, now we see Blade able to get the first lap on board here for the silver class. That's going to be a very strong 2-minute 9.1 with Lunatic second one to cross the finish line with a 2-minute 9.9. So pretty wide spread between the two competitors here so far. And unfortunately, Vossi went a bit too wide. I do believe that was somewhere around in Sector 3. That caused our lap time to be invalid here. So we're going to have to wait another lap here to see what kind of pace is looking between them so far. But quite a wide margin from the first couple laps here between the Aston Martin and the McLaren 570S here. Excuse me, 720S here. 570S was the GT4 car here. But yeah, not quite sure which car would have the quote-unquote better pace advantage going into this round here, but I feel like the Aston and the McLaren would be quite evenly matched here in terms of their performance.
Yeah, but also we also have to think about the fact that certain, from what we've seen from drivers' feedback from this track, a lot of drivers are actually not really keen on this track, and such. We actually do see some upsets coming into the race here. We've had the likes of Randomly as well as a few other drivers unable to be on their usual spots in their standings. I think these kind of upsets might benefit Blade, since Blade has driven here quite some time. Although maybe not on the best pace, because as you can see, Vex has definitely a faster pace here. But with their experience as well as understanding of the track a bit more, they might be able to pull away here and beat the rest of the Silvers.
Yes, and Vex is not quite in the... they're not going to be involved in the Silver Class Championship here, so even if Vex is going to be qualifying ahead of all of the other Silver drivers here, that's not going to be concerning Vossi, nor Luna, nor Blade here. They're only going to be concerned about where the other drivers finish here. And looking at the laps so far here, we see Vossi now on another lap here. They are looking pretty strong now, so they're going to be going through the very sweeping long right-hander here. I can't see the sector times here so far, but they have been looking quite fast from what I've been spying on the delta times so far. So I feel like now they're going to be now going through into this very tricky left-hander immediately, right-hander immediately into a left-hander towards turn 19 and then to turn 20. Careful about going too wide on those track limits there, Porsche. And there's going to be the final turn around to turn 20, cutting that curve a bit too deep, but mindful of those sausage curves on the inside. And now across the line, it's going to be a 2-minute 8.2. They're going to be beating Vex finally for the top of the standings here in a pretty substantial 4/10 of Lunatic's best time here. So a pretty good opening from Aussie here.
Yeah, that's definitely a more dominant opening into the Silver Champ. Auras as well, pretty good. 208.2. I just realized that as well. Pretty solid from the two of them. Definitely an upset that we didn't expect to see. So I think Blades definitely have more work to put up for them, given how big of a gap everyone is right now. So it's definitely going to be a very interesting Silver Champ race, I think, with how this standing is coming out through B.
Yes, indeed, and we're seeing also Lunatic invalidating their lap time so far, not able to get another lap on board here. We're also seeing Cohen. I think they're about to cross the finish line here in a bit here. We haven't actually seen a lot of that drop here so far, so if we're going to be having a bit of look, they're not going to be crossing the finish line. It's going to be a first time of 2-minute 13.6, so a bit ways off the pace here with that missing Ferrari 488 GT3 car here, but perhaps with yeah, with only 1 minute 53 seconds left to go here, that's going to be their final opportunity to do any kind of improvement on this track here. So a little bit ways off the pace here, but it seems like Cohen's not quite concerned about that, looking at their pace and their driving. Yeah,
Cohen's definitely more of a consistent driver. So we'll definitely have to see. They are also slightly disadvantaged driving the slightly older 488 Evo. So for them, at this point, it's more about surviving the race, but if they really want to catch up, they definitely have a lot to catch up on. Speaking of which, Lunatic warming up. I think, are they still warming up? They don't really have much time left. 1 minute 20 minutes into their qualifying remaining, and then the pros will be out, so that Luna definitely has to calculate the time right just so they could be able to make it. But I don't think Cohen has time for another lap if they would, but if they ever invalidate their lap, so they definitely have to make this lap count.
Yeah, Lunatic is actually gonna have to hurry up a little bit. They only have about 50 seconds left to complete the lap here. They're still only in turn 16 here so far, so they're gonna have to really stamp their foot on the throttle here to be able to get over the finish line and get one more lap here, because they are still 5/10 of Vossi's leading silver class time here, with also Blade looking on a pretty good improvement right behind them. So it's gonna be a bit of a close run here, but I think Luna's able to get just barely across the finish line here with that last corner and into their last flying lap around the track. But now it's going to be time for our pro drivers to do their runs around this track here, and we're going to be watching very close to see what kinds of times they're going to be putting in comparison to the silver and the AM drivers here.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see. But we have seen pro drivers going into the 206s. Not sure how many drivers will do that, but definitely very interesting to see how fast these drivers can be as pros. But yeah, speaking of Blade Wolf, 5/10 out from their previous time. 5/10 will get them about where Auras would be. They will definitely beat Vax in the standings, so we'll definitely be looking very close to where Blade will end up in. Sector 3, very, very harsh, very hard to improve in those areas, so we'll definitely have to see how well they are able to perform there. But yeah, Lunatic coming. Oh, and they just invalidated. Oh, it's into the wall. Poor Lunatic. Definitely have lost it down into turn
unfortunate from them.
10.
They seem to be going on a pretty good lap there so far, but unfortunately, those track limits, as notorious as they are around here in COTA, unfortunately have invalidated their lap time. That's going to be putting Vossi in a fairly substantial lead so far, but we still see Blade going across the finish line through that last turn on a 6/10 improvement here, so they're going to be getting a pretty good finish here. It's going to be not quite enough to beat Auras Volpes for P2 in the silver class here, but a pretty good solid finish from the Aston Martin driver.
A very, very interesting finish from Blade. But yeah, Vossi as well, coming into the final 2 corners, actually 2/10 ahead of their current time. They're gonna be able to set a new pole if they don't invalidate that time, and they do with a 2:07.8, the first driver to punch through the sub 2:08s. Definitely a very fast driver you have here in silver class.
Yes, indeed, a very strong finish from the Tigam Racing Porsche 922 here to wrap up the qualifying session for the silver class here. Now it's going to be time for our pro drivers. It's going to be now, I do believe that's going to be Plasma. We see Auras Volpes here going on a final run around the pit lane here. That's going to be Plasma now able to just basically just cruise into the finish here, because none of their competitors are on track at the moment. So Plasma's not even in any kind of pressure to be at the top of the game here, to beat anybody here, because even if they finish, I think, with no points, actually, I think they would just have to get at least 20 to get 1 point to beat Cafe for the lead of the overall class here. So Plasma's not in any hurry, but knowing how competitive Plasma is, I think they're just going to be giving it their all for these final couple minutes.
Of course, I mean, as a driver, you definitely want to give it your all, but as in a logical strategic, I think you mean to say? Yeah, strategic, yes. Strategic standpoint, you definitely want to, pull it back slightly, not push yourself too hard, but you still want to make sure that you have a very good cushion to the next driver ahead of you. So definitely, it's something that Plasma might want to take it easy, but maybe not too easy.
Yes, indeed. And looking at our silver classification so far while we're waiting for our pro drivers to finish with their laps here, everybody here in the silver class, the ones that are fighting for points, they are within the top 5. And so Lunatic was not quite able to get the qualifying time they would have wanted, so they are a bit ways off from Blade and Vossi, but they're still within just a couple rows behind them. So any kind of incident that happens between Vossi and Auras or Blade fighting for that very tricky turn 1, so that could give the opportunity for Luna to have a lunge on the inside and get a good send here, because we've seen quite a lot of times here in COTA where if you can just get that good run up on the inside of the very long straight into turn 1 here, you can gain quite a few places.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of corners where you have to really just punch the exit well. It might be a bit counterintuitive to certain drivers, but if you actually look at the track map at COTA, actually a lot of more than right angle corners, so it's actually more beneficial for drivers to be a bit more patient, turn in a bit more aggressive at the very end, just so they can get a very straight exit on most corners here.
Yes, indeed, and now we're going to be waiting for Plasma to get ready for their first pro lap around in COTA, and also having a quick look at our AM classification and our silver classification here. I do believe it's Morin and Juan V who did not set a single lap around the track here, though. It's quite curious. So they're going to be now confirmed starting at the way back of the grid here, unless any of our other pro drivers are not going to be getting any substantial times on the board either, but quite surprising, if I do say so myself.
I see Plasma coming in to cross the line with 206.6. Of course, nothing short of a 206 for Plasma. I think anything above a 207 I think Plasma's gonna have a field day and definitely want to push itself a bit even harder. But right now, 2066 with Simon Luck coming in at 2068. I don't think Plasma can take a break as much as we think he would, because Simon Luck is definitely right on the tail of Plasma at this rate.
Yes, we did see Simon Luck doing quite some competitive times around in the practice session, as we now see Plasma going a bit too wide into that entry into the turn. I believe that was turn 8 here that caused them to invalidate their lap time here, so they're going to have to go around again to have any kind of improvement on their lap time here. But as I was saying, that Simon Luck has been quite competitive in their Aston Martin V8 as well, so it could be a possibility to challenge Plasma into turn 1 at least, if they're going to be able to keep this kind of pace in during race pace.
Yeah, and it's amazing that Simon's able to wrangle that Aston around this track. It's definitely not the car of favor here, given it's a front engine car with so many winding high-speed corners as well as so many transitions. It is definitely taking Simon a lot of effort just to make sure that it points the way it wants it to point, because of how much understeer you could get from a front engine car in this track.
Yes, indeed. We're also seeing a time from Wushul in the 169 Porsche 922 here, getting a 2 minute 7.5. So a quite a substantial margin to everybody else here in the Pro classification so far, with Plasma almost a full second ahead of Wushul here, with Simon Luck being the only one in the 206s so far. So we're going to watch very closely if Simon Luck is able to do any kind of improvement on their lap times so far here. I do believe both him and Plasma were within the same 10th at the end of the practice session before we moved on over to the qualifying session here. So with about 3.5 minutes left to go here, we could probably see a bit of a competition between these two competitors. But either way, Plasma's not going to be that concerned, because has this championship in the bag pretty much.
You say he's not concerned, but yet he's 500, 600, 700s and gaining in terms of improving the lap time. So I think Plasma is slightly concerned, or they're just blindly pushing as hard as they could, as they usually do. But Wushul also not really slacking as well. Right now, currently Wushul is 6/10 up their previous time. If they're able to keep it in track, they definitely might be able to punch through and actually be in the sub 207s and be slightly in the fight for the podium position with Simon as well as Plasma.
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm quite familiar with what Wushul's pace would be in COTA, because I'd had that big showdown with Wushul for the final round of the Silver Championship earlier this year here, where there was also an unfortunate incident where I was not able to get into the finishing I would have wanted, and I ended up finishing 3rd in that championship. But I know Wushul, and then I think looking at her now being able to get a 207.0, that's going to be about the pace that she's going to be able to extract from that Porsche 922, and she seems to have now started to concede. It looks like, yeah, not going to be having any more runs on that track. They're going to be pretty happy with that time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 207 is definitely something very impressive. I've tried it here. It is very hard to get even a 208, so it's definitely very impressive from Wushul wrangling that 992 across this very long and winding track. But yeah, right now Wushul has decided to call it a night, and Simon, oh, what was that? I've kind of missed it a little bit. Simon on a 2 to 3/10 improvement coming into Sector 3. Definitely trying to answer Plasma's P1. I think that is possible if Simon is able to keep it clean down into turn 13 and 14. Seems like they're able to do it, so hopefully if they don't mess up their breaking point coming into turn 15, they might be able to get pull from Plasma for the time being.
Yeah, they are on a pretty good flying lap at the moment here. We're now also seeing Plasma going on their final run across the finish line now for their final lap on this track so far. We are seeing if Simon Luck is able to get this car in one piece through the finish line here, through turn 19 towards turn 20 here, still on a valid lap so far now across that finish line. It's going to be a 4/10th improvement. Going to be putting them into provisional pole position so far, so that's going to be down to Plasma to see if he's going to be able to have an answer to that Aston Martin V8 driver, the Sweet Roll themed livery car here. So we're going to be watching Plasma very closely in that Audi R to see if they're going to be able to get those final 2/10s here. They are only on a 1/10th improvement, going to Sector 1 towards Sector 2 and that hairpin here. So a very interesting qualifying end.
Definitely very interesting, but actually if you look at the rest of as Plasma almost missed that corner and invalidated that lap time coming into turn 10. But yeah, if you actually see the leaderboard right now, we only have 4 pro drivers actually have clocked in a time. Newt has not been able to done a valid lap time, as well as Randomly basically not getting a time in as well. I think there's a few drivers that are going to be starting at the back of the grid, but dipping sauce, basically 3 seconds away from pole. I think that's going to be very interesting for the pro driver to be fighting against the rest of the grid just to be able to get the points that they need for the end of the season.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be watching now. Plasma very close. They're going to be heading now towards the final Sector 3 sector here. We see a 2/10 improvement. It's going to be very close if they're going to have any chance of beating Simon, because now time's out. They're not going to have any more chances at improving their lap times after this lap here. And we're also seeing on the time machines, we see Simon on another 2/10 improvement on the lap time build as well here. So this could be just the first pole position for the brand new Aston Martin V8 driver here. Now we're going to be watching Plasma going through turn 19 towards turn 20. They have actually lost a little bit of time there. And now they went wide. That's going to be then invalidated. No. It's going to be done. Plasma's going to be starting P2.
And
in the overall race here, we're going to be seeing Simulak still on another flying lap here, going through towards turn 16, 17, and 18 here. Still on another 2.5 improvement here. They're flying with an Aston Martin V, and now they're going to be going through that final turn 20 here. Just trust on the limit of those sausage grips here, unleashing the power of that Aston Martin V. It's going to be another 10th improvement. Going to be putting them up into 2 minutes 6.3, a whopping pole position, a first for Simulak. Congratulations on beating the esports pro driver for the qualification.
Well done. That has been amazing. Qualifying for the pro class as well. First time Simon has been able to beat Plasma. The first time the Aston Martin in pole position. I think Simon's going to be very happy with the result right there and then.
Yeah, I would be very much happy with that result. If anybody is able to beat Plasma, I think you can call that a very, very good day so far. And looking further down the field here, we have a very dominant pole position from Vossi as well, and a similar one from Vex, with a fairly substantial margin into the P2 and P3 cars of their respective classes. We see Vossi able to get almost a 5/10 improvement onto Auras Volbis, sitting P2 in the silver classification here. We're also seeing Vex sitting at a 2-minute 8.5 with Wheeze over a second of Vex's time here. So we're seeing quite some big domination from all of our classes here so far, save for Simon Luck and Plasma in the top 2 in the Plasma in the overall category here. But it will certainly make for a very interesting race here, with a couple of our AM and Silver class cars out of position from between the pros and their other classes here. So could make for some interesting racing as we are getting ready for our race.
COTA has definitely been a track that has brought out oddballs, and I think the results have shown. Simon being our first non-Plasma pole this season, I think, if my memory serves me right. And as well as Vossi having such a big lead against everyone else. But also if you see Auras as well, slotting in between Blade and Lunatic. And it's really interesting to see Lunatic that far back in the silver as well. Normally you'll see Blade fighting up next with Lunatic, as well as Randomly basically off the grid because they are unable. They feel like they are unable to start with a good time, so they are deciding to start at the back of the grid. As well as Newt. Actually, we have 4 drivers not qualifying in this qualifying session. Newt, Randomly, Huanvi, as well as Morir Yin, 4 drivers unable to qualify in COTA, so that's going to be very interesting for them in this race.
Definitely indeed, but now we have our drivers finally lining up on the main part of our grid here, ready for the final round of the Simufur GT3 Season 5 Championship here. So now we're going to be having one last grid walk to see what's our qualifying position, starting position is going to be like.
Yeah, and first time ever, the sweet roll Aston Martin, Car 31, by Simon Luck in pole position. That is interesting for them to be here. Hopefully, the inside line does them well for coming into T1 Plasma. The 116 Audi in P2. I think Plasma definitely will want to get that position back as soon as possible, just so they could run away in the rest as they usually do. Wushel, P3 in the Porsche 196, 992. Pretty interesting to be here in P3. Hopefully, they have a good race as well. P4, Vossi, our first silver driver in the Porsche 992 as well. Car 15. Hopefully, they have a good race. Joining behind them, right behind them, fighting with them will be Auras in the 406, first BMW on the grid. Pretty solid car here around the COTA, so hopefully if they keep them in the track's limits, they should be able to have a very good result. Blade Wolf, the next Aston Martin on the grid, he's pretty solid here, so hopefully no incidents and he will be able to finish with some good points. Our first M driver here, Vax, in the Ferrari 296. good to see them here. If they are able to do it, if they're able to keep it clean, they're definitely going to be winning this AM Champ for this season. Next up, Lunatic, our second to last silver driver, if my memory serves. Our third last silver driver here in the McLaren. Pretty poor performance, but if they keep it clean, they're definitely going to be able to bring it home. Did a bit of an oddball here, P9 in the Lamborghini. They say they're having a struggling here, but hopefully they are able to pick up the pace so that gets up good points coming in. Weiss in the next BMW as well, the 366 car. Our second M driver, hopefully they're able to keep it clean. If not, the car behind Zizor in the next Lamborghini is going to be able to take their position. It's going to be a close fight between Weiss and Cesar, I assume, because both very seasoned drivers. Hopefully they're able to keep it clean, and we're going to be able to see some good racing. Wolfin, the next Blue E car in the Ferrari, down here in the 4th place for AM class. Pretty solid. Hopefully they're able to have a good race this time around. Zephyr, P13, the next BMW in the Most Wanted livery. Definitely a very fun livery, and hopefully they are able to have a solid race tonight. Enter Midnight, next BMW. Both BMW side by side here. Who will win? Who's be able to be the one in front? I guess time will tell here, as they are in the next BMW. The car behind them, Neo, in the next Aston Martin, car 310. It's been a while since I've seen them on the grid. Hopefully they have a good race tonight as well. These oddball here between all the AMs will be Cohen in the 404 Ferrari 488 in that very interesting livery. Hopefully they are able to keep it clean within the AMs. If not, it's going to be very interesting as the grid continues on for our final formation lap for the end of the season.
Yes, a very exciting formation lap indeed, with a brand new pole-sitter sitting at the very elite of the pack here, Simon Luck, with a very dominant run so far in the qualifying session. Now it's going to be all down to if he can hold on to that lead going into this very long straight. We know the Audi has quite a lot of power in that car here, so it's going to be a possibility, as we have seen many times throughout this season and in previous season as well, where even if Plasma is not able to get the ultimate fastest lap time in qualifying, usually have the best send into turn 1, into turn 2, and able to get that lead here. So do you think that's going to be happening again as well in this race?
Yeah, it's all about that confident esports braking that Plasma is always known for. So Simon definitely will have to defend really hard just to keep it in position. But you also have to think about also the overall racing. If Simon defends too much, he might open the door for Wushel. So Simon might think about, maybe it's not worth it to fight for it and just let them by, just so they don't have to worry too much about Wushel in the back. But I think that's gonna be a conversation between Simon as well as Plasma, just to decide on how things are gonna end up within the next hour.
I mean, on the other hand as well here, we have the glory of winning overall in the Simufur category, in the overall category, winning there. That's going to be quite a big prestigious thing to be having here. So I think, knowing Simon, he's probably going to be trying his best at least to hold off the advance from Plasma from behind them and keep on that P1 position here. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be holding on to that, because I do believe on the first lap round, Simon's going to be holding up on that inside line, but it's going to be all down to if he can get the optimum launch and beat Plasma. Because both these cars are going to be having quite some good top speed in their machines, so there could be a possibility if Plasma can get right up alongside going into turn 1 here, they can then hold on that outside line, then turning into the inside line going into turn 2 here, and finally get into the lead going into the SS here. So something these drivers are going to be very much aware of as they're going to be getting ready for their first lap around this track here in Florida. And also, I want to be giving a highlight also to the Silver Champion fight happening only a couple positions behind them. So any kind of incident that happened with the pro class drivers here in the top 3, top 4, that's going to be giving the possibility for Vossi, for Oras, for Blade to perhaps get into the podium spots, perhaps even a win here, depending on what's going to be happening with our top class drivers.
Yeah, I think the Silver drivers definitely have a very interesting front row seat here, but they also cannot slack because they also have a fight of their own. Even though qualifying might have very big pace differences, they are, at this point lined up side by side. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how they settle down as well. But drivers all across the grid definitely have to pull every single trick out the book. Brake boosting, turbo boosting, all the tricks, just to make sure they have a good launch here up the hill into COTA, as we almost coming into the final 2 corners, our final time launching here in the Simufur GT3 season. Hopefully we have a good race.
Hopefully, indeed. It's been a very, very fun season to commentate so far. We're going to be hoping for even more exciting racing to happen in the next year, because this is going to be the last race of the entire year. Simufur is going to be going on a winter break after this, so let's make this one a good one. Now we're going to be seeing our drivers going side by side over that finish line. It's going to be a very, very long start-finish straight here, as they're going to be getting ready for the race here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to be the one taking us away here, as they're going to be now getting ready, just everybody side by side, holding their brakes, holding their throttle, just waiting for that green light. Any second now. Just waiting patiently with Simon. Yeah, that's going to be green with Simon Luck. Now, actually, a bit of a poor launch looking at them, with Plasma already up on the outside of their going into turbo. It's going to be now Plasma already charging ahead with a substantial lead already, but they're going to be Wushel also on the outside. Blade on the inside, also pushing wide. It's going to be also Oras, Lopez, Blade, and Vossi all side by side. Now going into turn 2 here. They're going to be side by side. It's going to be seeing Vossi able to get that hold of the lead here so far, but we're going to be seeing Plasma already just streaking away into the horizon with not even a chance for Simon to even get a defensive line into turn 1. They were already ahead in the start line here, and now they're already getting away into the front here with barely any time here. So I also see a yellow flag happening at the back. Oh no, it's going to be Cohen. It's going to be Wolfie. They've both had a bit of an incident here on the track here. We're going to have to quickly have a look on the replay to see what exactly happened so far. We're going to be having a quick refresh if we can see here. Oh, it's already going to be contact. Oh, it's going to be new. It's going to be Wolfie. It's going to be JPEG as well. A lot of cars collected in a bit of a kerfuffle going in through turn 3, 4, 5, and 6 here, where they're going to be way far off the pace here, but hopefully they're going to be able to get back up into that fight.
Yeah, as well as we see as well incidents with Zephyr as well, already dropping down into P20 as well. So definitely a lot of incidents has happened in the start of the race, but the race has, the race goes on. Things are still happening, but yeah, definitely a very interesting launch from Plasma. I think the Audi has a very good launch, as well as the Aston just having significant turbo lag. We see car, who's that? I think did basically missing the braking points and basically missing the corner. They definitely had to make sure they don't do it too much, or else Vex is going to take their position away from them at this rate.
Yes, indeed. We also see Luna able to get a couple of overtakes also as well, with capitalizing on those incidents happening before them. And now sitting in P7, now right on the rear of Blade Wolf, who was starting pretty far up in the qualification here, but lost a couple places. We see also Vossi already looking up into the back of their fellow Porsche driver, the 169 car of Wushel here, already challenged to a potential top 3 position. Again, as we had saw them from the previous race so far, are going to be then going just bumper to bumper going on that first start-finish straight here. So cars are already sending into place here. We see Plasma already with a dominant 1.2 second gap with only 1 lap here. So it's looking quite an easy drive here for the Audi R8 driver.
Yeah, as long as Plasma does not jinx it and does some silly mistakes, I think Plasma definitely has it in the bag. But as you see here, drivers at the back, definitely still a lot to work for. Oh, as we see more incidents here with Marie, as well as I think that's Zephyr, is that? I'm not sure, but definitely incidents here at the back of the grid as we see them coming into the final few corners. Oh, it's an off track a little bit. Who's that in the BMW?
There seems to be a few unusually slow going drivers here. I do believe that was going to be the number 9 car of Caspier in that car. Now that are going to be going over the final corner here into turn 20. I do believe that was going to be it was Casp just going a bit too fast into that turn 20 corner here, spinning around and unfortunately collecting more in the process here. So unfortunate result from them, but hopefully they don't have too much damage. They're able to keep driving. As we're going to be seeing a bit of a battle happening between Randomby and Enter Midnight. They've both had some, starting all the way from the back of the race here, they're just flying, cutting through its entire clear. We also see Newt already able to get past Swingley, Randomby able to get past Enter Midnight. They're now going to be challenging towards the top 3 of the AM class here. Now only a couple of seconds ahead here, so and watching them very closely as well here through these smooth sectors. After you see another yellow flag happening, it's going to be between JPEG and Zephyr now. A lot of yellow flags happening at the back of our grid here. There's going to be some interesting stuff. You're going to have another look up on the replay to see what exactly happened with this. It's going to be, it's going to be Zephyr going a bit too fast into the rear of that Porsche. I think it's the Porsche 911. JPEG is not running the Porsche 922. They're running the older class Porsche 911 here, and unfortunately that incident collected the rear of the Porsche driver here, and now going to be starting all the way at the back of the grid here after a very strong qualifying so far. Not the race they want to have.
Yeah, definitely. I think they have been caught up in a few incidents, and I think definitely not happy with what has happened. But you have to remember as well, be patient. You have a car in front of you. It's up to you to have a good overtake. So speaking of good overtake, Dip Vax coming in, diving right into Dip. Dip being respectful, giving him just enough space, and Vex as well, both coming in side by side, coming into the start finish straight. Both, I think, still side by side. I think Dip has the guy running coming up into the hill, but who will break later and actually enter the apex a little bit better. Both, still side by side. Very interesting for the both of them.
Yeah, it seems like Nip is still holding on that line very defensively, going into turn 2, able to help that lead just now. But right behind, we have Zezors right in behind them, so that's going to be the one chance. Zezors is going to be needed to get past Vex and to have any kind of chance to be able to win this Crash Championship here, with Vex now stuck finally behind Dipping Sauce, who may not always have the best kind of pace from their machine, but they are very good at defending, as we already saw. Dipping Sauce just greatly holding their line all the way through turn 2 into turn 3 here with the hold that lead so far. And that's going to be Vex already slipping back to about 5/10 here. Now have to wait again to have another opportunity with Zezors right behind them, ready to pounce on any mistake that the number 22 drivers might be making here.
And then Zezor basically almost missing the breaking points and almost ran. Rax had to do some evasive maneuvers, but as you see, right behind Zezor, quietly, is Newt, already catching up to the rest of the grid. Newt definitely wants to catch up just so they could overtake Dip, but as you can see, Dip, really hard, really strong defender, very experienced driver. It's going to take a lot of effort just to get an overtake on Dip, so I think Vax will definitely have to maybe make a dive or two just to make things happen. Here's Swingley as well.
Swingley here have a bit of a peek up on the inside of Reese here, fighting for P3 in the AM classification here. We also see Randomly in the Ferrari 296 here, also swinging up on the outside, going into turn 14 here towards turn 15 here, still having a bit of a peak now. It's going to be Randomly diving up on the inside towards turn 15, getting that overtake to just barely stick, going a bit too deep in those brakes here, both the BMW M4 and the 296 here. Now it's going to be a clean overtake done from the pro driver in the car number 73. That's going to be down to catching up to Reese, who seem to have lost quite a lot of time with that little fight here. So we can see already they are tricky last sector here with those tight hairpins going left and right and left and right. If you get caught up in a battle, you're going to be losing a lot of time compared to the targets ahead. We're going to be seeing a bit of a dive coming in from Swingley as well, having a bit of a peek up on the rear of the Ferrari 296 here. We're not quite able to get that move overtake the stick here. So, well, actually, no, I'm mistaken. They're going to be going almost side by side into turn 1 here, looking like with Randomly stuck on the outside line here, with Swingley actually ending up just backing up on the end. So, probably a wise decision from them to not get caught up in a fight with a pro driver.
Yeah, I think that little bit of late braking has spooked Randomly to overshot the corner, basically causing a little bit of a rough exit, and definitely Swingley just basically pulling back just to make sure that things don't go a little bit too bad. We still have 52 minutes to the end of the race, so we definitely don't want to be a bit too aggressive. You gotta want to think about strategy at this point, because we still have a pit stop that drivers have to make just to make sure that they comply with the rules and regulations of our racing.
Yes, indeed, there's still going to be that mandatory pit stop within the 20-minute window that's going to be happening in the middle of the race here. We're going to have to switch to new tires and refuel their cars well. So with how hot this track is, this could be the opportunity for the car drivers here to get a good undercut going here, especially if their tires are really warm, really overheated. If you do a pit stop earlier than your competitor, this could be the one opportunity you need to have that undercut done and get an overtake through the pit strategy here. We're also seeing a fight happening between Zezors and Vex here, quite surprising here, because Vex was quite fast in the qualifying session here, but they are not quite able to get that same kind of run going into the race here, with Dipping Sauce probably being a bit of a cork in the bottle for the Newbie 296 driver here. We're giving the opportunity for Zezors to stay behind Vex here and maybe have another peak, and maybe even look for an overtake here. We also see in the background, we see Newt right there as well, closing in on this little pack here in the middle of the race here, and probably looking to make a bit of an overtake as well.
Yeah, I think the fighting here, as the smaller train that Dip has made here, has definitely allowed for Newt to slowly close in and maybe have a very easy overtake down the line. So Newt definitely will be appreciative being able to get back into the top 10s as quick as he could. 10 minutes is very impressive to be able to go from basically bottom of the grid up to P10. So definitely a very interesting run from Newt as we see the smaller train continue to develop.
Yes, indeed. We also saw JPEG Fox hopping into the pits as well. I do believe they may have had a bit of damage in their car that caused them to force them to go early into the pit lane to fix their car here. But we're going to have to go back into Usu and Vossi still fighting for their own positions in P4 and P3 here with Rusty Oras Lopez right behind them as well, hoping to capitalize on any mistakes these two Porsche have here. With a bit of a slide happening from Vossi here, really losing the back end of that Porsche here, losing a massive amount of time to Usu the head here, now giving the opportunity for Oras to get even closer to the Porsche driver as well here. So it's going to be not the easiest fight for Vossi. They are quite ways ahead from Lunatic and Blade sitting in P6 and P7 respectively here. As we can already see, just a little bit of a mistake in an exit here. Unfortunate spin, that's going to be Luna and Blade right behind the ready to capitalize on any of those mistakes.
Yeah, definitely cannot make any sort of mistakes here because, oh my god, as we see, Swingley in the wall definitely has made an error. We should maybe take a look back and see what has happened with this driver. Oh, just a little bit of slide and unfortunate. The barrage is right there. That is unfortunate for Swingley. That's going to be... they have to figure out how they want to continue with this race. Either to continue with damage until the pit window or to pit in early just so that they don't lose too much time. And I think that we'll have to see as the pit window has not been open just yet. It's a bit too early for that.
Yeah, we saw that exact same situation happen with Vossi where they went a bit too wide, a bit too fast into the exit of turn 8 here, causing their car to spin around. When Vossi was able to catch their car, but not the same thing for Swingley here, who unfortunately hit the barriers there and had a bit of substantial damage here. So they're just going to have to leave their car for the next 9 minutes here, hoping to get into the pit lane here as soon as possible here. We're also seeing a bit of a fight happening here between Randomly and Weezer, again now catching up to the BMW M4 driver here. So that's going to be also JPEG Fox in the background as well, who is, I do believe, a lap down from everybody here. So they're not going to be fighting for any positions at the moment, but they're going to be trying their hardest to hopefully unlock themselves and gain as many positions as they are going to be possibly getting here. As we're going to see, oh, it's going to be another yellow light. It's going to be Enter Midnight's going a bit too wide. I do believe that's on the exit of turn 9 here. We're going to have a bit of a look up on the replay here to see if we can catch what exactly happened. They're going to be now going challenge. I do believe they were challenging Neo for the run up here into turn 90 here, but they're going to be looking a bit of a strange incident. I do have to say so myself. They didn't hit anybody. I think they just went a bit too fast and just lost the rear in that car here. That caused them to lose all that time and hit the wall.
Yeah, it might have been a bit too harsh on the steering and basically swung the car around, or they might have hit the small little curbs on the inside. The car gets a little bit upset when you hit the curbs on the inside, and it might have done it for the little car that they have.
Yes, indeed, and also we are seeing Randomly still getting close into a fight here. Actually, we're going to have to look at the video because we're going to be seeing Zesos and Vex going side by side into turn 11 here with Zesos coming out of a bit of leak. I do believe Vex made a bit of a mistake going up into the chicane section here towards the turn here, but we're going to be seeing now Vex now really defensively on the inside line of here, with Zesso now looking up on the inside line here, not able to get that run up here. That's going to be then going almost side by side towards turn 12 here, with Vex going very aggressively on the outside here, sweeping in here with Zesso unable to capitalize on that kind of big send here. Got a bit too early on those brakes here, so very good opportunity for Vex to, or for Zesso to make that overtake down, but he didn't quite have the bravery to send it into the hairpin section in turn 12 here and make that overtake stay.
Yeah, I think Zezor is getting a little bit impatient behind Vex. I think Vex does think in certain sections that they are a little bit quicker than the Ferrari in front of them, but I think they're also anticipating for the fact that there is a little smaller Mercedes right behind them that might want to have a piece of the pie, so they definitely want to get a move on just so they could not get overtaken by the Mercedes.
Yes, indeed. Now we're going to have to go back into 1V, who has now caught up to the back of Neo here. 1V was one of the drivers who started from the way back of the grid here, unable to get a representative lap time during the qualifying session here. So they're just hoping to gain as many positions as they can here, hoping to get back up into the top 10 fight here. But it's going to be a very big uphill battle for 1V, but they seem to be able to slowly catch up to Neo here, looking at their previous lap times so far with... actually, if I'm quite correct, it looks like 1V has not set a single valid lap so far during this entire first 50 minutes of the race. They still don't have a best lap so far, so they don't seem to be quite have that Porsche 922 figured out in this race here, but we're going to be seeing, hopefully they can get that back together towards the latter half of the race here, because the last place you want to have a drive-through here is going to be here in COTA, because the pit lane is going to be long, and if you're going to have to serve that drive-through, you're going to be losing massive amounts of time than everybody else.
Yeah, the entry for pit lane is also not very favorable. So, as you know, track limits are a problem here. They definitely have to be a little bit careful, as Defo tries to make a run on Cohen for P19 here. Both drivers pretty respectful of each other, but let's see how the BMW is able to give it to the Ferrari right in front of them. As you see this big size difference, the BMW is such a huge machine. Being able to keep up with the Ferrari is definitely a engineering feat, as we see here.
Yeah, we'll have to see it better. We also see finally an overtake happening between Juanvi and Zezors. Not Zezors, but Ranibus. We're going to have to have a quick look to see if we can see where that overtake exactly happened between Juanvi and Neo. Here we see, I do believe that was going to be somewhere around the first sector here, going through the SSN towards that sweep right hand here. Oh, it's going to be a bit of a mistake from Neo, giving the opportunity to Juanvi to sweep right up on the outside of turn 8 here. A very bold move from the Porsche 922 driver, but a well-made overtake, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, definitely a very strong overtake by Juanvi. So, you know, after overtaking Neo, definitely more cars in front of them. Hopefully, they're able to catch up. The next car is randomly, you know, who knows? Maybe, even if they can't overtake randomly, maybe they could catch up to Weiss, and that will be anywhere closer to Lunatic Race right now in P7.
Yes, for sure. And we're also seeing Randy starting to get a bit stuck behind the 366 driver so far. Actually, we're going to be seeing another overtake happening between Vex and Zezor. They're going to be again caught up in a battle going up into turn 1 here. Now Zezor's on the outside with Vex holding up that tight defensive inside line here. But now going to be Zezor's now on the inside going through turn 2 here. And that's going to be giving the opportunity for Zezor's to get that better run now towards the exit. Now it's going to be an overtake done. It seems like another mistake from Vex caused them to get a poor exit into the main straight here, giving Zezor the final cent they needed to get up into the lead of the race here. That's going to be very substantial points that Vex needs here, or Zezor's needs here, but unless Vex is going to be dropping all the ways to the back of this whole fight here, that's going to be still not enough for Zezor's to clinch this amateur class championship here. But we're going to be watching these two very closely as they're going to be fighting for the remaining 43 minutes of the race here, because we're going to be also seeing Newt in the background as well here, also eager to get past these AM class drivers here and get back up into getting some more points in the overall classification here. So definitely a lot to look forward to here in this race here.
Yeah, I think Newt definitely would have appreciated if the fight got a little bit longer, just so he could be ever so slightly closer, but unfortunately Zezor has made the move done, so it's up to Vex as well as Newt both to catch up to Zezor just to make some position gains. But it seems like, as we see Cohen into sideways, not into the barrier, saved it just barely on the SS. Hopefully we're able to see what has happened. It's going to be a very unfortunate slide as you see Cohen coming in out into turn 3.
It looks like they just went it looks like they just went a bit too fast into those SS sections here through the sector 1, and they lost their car here. But a very good recovery from them if I do look at it. But they actually had another spin again. They are really not on top of that Ferrari 488 car at all, and they're going to be losing even more time. They're going to be all the way down at the back of the field at the moment, and way far off from any of the other silver drivers here, so not the race he would want here. But let's see if we can hopefully get back up into the fight here. But we're also going to have to return back to Randaby, who is again getting really close into the bumper of the BMW N4 ahead here, getting almost rushing into the rear bumper of the car ahead here, looking to maybe get the best possible send into the exit of turn 20 here. We're going to have to look them very close here, and not going to be getting as close as possible. It seems like, yes, that BMW N4 is going to be having the advantage on the straight line speed here, so unless Randaby can get right up into the bumper here, they're going to have any opportunity to make a send here on turn 1 here. It seems like another lap stuck behind that BMW N4, unfortunately, for the 296 driver.
Yeah, I think that has been a common complaint for all the Ferrari drivers as you see both side by side. No, it's not. It's that you know, it's easy to try to overtake someone on corners, but given that it's a BMW, the car can pull for days. Usually it gets really frustrating when you have to battle with a BMW because you are faster, as you can see here, randomly catching up on Weiss in the corners, but as soon as the straight comes up, as you see randomly sliding sideways, obviously it's not the best way to preserve your tires here in a very hot COTA. But yeah, once it goes to the straights, the BMW basically just pulls away, and that gets really frustrating for the Ferrari drivers.
Yeah, I do believe there's going to be a bit of an issue as well with the tire temperatures as well. We still have a very, very boiling hot track here at 44 degrees centigrade, and those slides they're not going to be helping your tires at all here. And the more you scrub them, the more you just really get everything out of those cars here to catch up and make those overtakes. They're going to be wearing them down more, making them even hotter here. That's going to be making you even more vulnerable to potential undercuts going to be happening from other drivers who are going to be pitting early. So they're going to have to be a bit more careful about those cars here. Too many slides here, they might just really really pay for it dearly in the latter half of the race.
Yeah, but because if you gotta remember as well, pit window opens in the next minute, but the pit window opens for 20 minutes. That means that you are able to pit now or 20 minutes remaining into the race. And if you don't time the tire wear right, you might have to pit early just so that you don't suffer from a excessive tire wear. But that means that you're gonna have to have a very extra long second stint, which may or may not affect your ability to race to the end of the race. So drivers have to be very careful, be very conservative. Take opportunities where you need to, but do not make any unnecessary moves just to preserve your tires. That is very important here in this very hot COTA.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be seeing a bit of a better send from Randomly into the exit of that turn W until they just went over those big sausage curbs on the outside and lost all of that speed they were gaining here. So it seems like Randomly is really trying their best to get close to that BMW M4 head, but just not quite finding those extra couple tenths, those extra few meters to really make that overtake to stick here. So it's going to be yet another lap stuck behind the BMW M4, looking very likely as we now have our pit window finally open. It's going to be open for the next 20 minutes here, where the drivers are going to have to put in new tires, put on some more extra fuel here, and then get back into driving here. So we're going to have to watch very closely to see if any of our drivers are going to be opting for an undercut here. I think we could perhaps see something from Blade or Luna here, get up into clean here, and hopefully use those fresher tires to get ahead of Fossey and perhaps have another shot at winning this Silver Championship.
It might be, but also if they do the undercut now, they might get a little bit. It might be a bit too early for them, mainly for the longer second stint. But it might be a little bit beneficial if they just keep it behind traffic just for now. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, or else they might suffer a lot in the second stint. I don't think they want to. As we see Plasma coming in back into the back of more rear, coming in black traffic, or almost collects our P1 driver. Definitely will not be a good night if that happens. Both P1 and P2 lapping our drivers here in COTA.
Yes, we are seeing our first cars being lapped on this track here with Moraheen and Haas both getting caught up in that lap, and that's going to be giving perhaps another opportunity for Moraheen to get closer to Casp's rear bumper here, going now towards turn 1 and turn 2, and make another overtake to move down. We're seeing kind of a similar situation as well between Morer and Casp here, all the way down in P20 and P21, as we are seeing with Randomly in P12 and P13, where Ferrari 296 has the better run-up in these corners here. They're able to get close into the bumper of the BMW M4, but they are just not able to get close enough, because as soon as they get into the main straight, it's going to be that straight line speed of the BMW M4 that allows them to just stay ahead and keep their position held here. So it's going to be a similar situation between these two 296 and M4 here. So we're going to watch them very closely to see how they develop here. We're also seeing at the front here, Simon Luck and Plasma have just been in a class of their own this entire race here. Both of them able to get those 2 minutes 6.6 lap times here as their best lap times, with Plasma only slightly, very, very slightly faster than the Aston Martin V8 behind them. So there's nothing really separating these two competitors, so it could be just down to how well they're going to be doing their pit stops.
It's definitely going to be how well they strategize their pit stops, as well as any sort of luck in, lap traffic. So it's going to be down to basically a game of luck, as we see Wushel at this point 12 seconds behind P2, 13 seconds behind P2. That they are definitely on the class of their own, and I think at this point both of them can also do some gentleman's agreement just to make sure they finish the race. But I doubt they're gonna do that. It's every man for themselves out here in COTA, and it will be a very interesting end of the race if both of them are able to fight it off at the very last seconds of the race.
We're quite impressed by Simon's back 55 season myself here, with Simon able to just stay in the back bumper of the Audi already ahead of them throughout the entire first 20 minutes of the race here. They're actually almost within striking distance already here, as they now go through the next lap 11 on this track so far, and neither of them are opting to go for the pit stop here. We're probably going to be seeing both of them just extending their stint for as long as possible and as late as possible to maximize the tire life on their cars here, because it looks like Plasma's struggling a little bit more with the tire wear in that car, and which enables Simon to get up close into the bump here. We're going to have to return to them later, but we're going to be seeing a fight developing between Wushu and Vossi here down in P3s and P4. We see a bit of a wiggle happening from Wushu's car here ahead, giving Vossi the opportunity to get even closer, now sweeping through into the SS towards turn 2, then towards turn 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're getting really close, a really fight between these two Porsches here, both German drivers as well here. So that's a national pride behind these cars here, driving their home machinery.
Yeah, I think Vossi and Bushel have shown that they are very capable in wrangling that 992 around COTA. It's not an easy car to wrangle around. It's a little bit temperamental in the finishes, as you see Vossi here sliding on sideways, as I just mentioned here. Very temperamental on the slides, so on the transitions. So it's definitely amazing to see both of them driving so well. And just Vossi being a little bit unfortunate with the traffic. That's why you see Vossi just basically coming in and out of range within Bushel. So definitely hoping for a better second stint as they come into the back straight here in COTA.
Yes, indeed. And it seems like Wushel was able to gain a bit of a gap here as they were navigating through the lap traffic here. And while Vossi may be getting a bit frustrated, not able to get past Wushel ahead of them, they are still in a fairly good margin to their main rivals of Blade Wolf and Lunatic to my hand, as we're going to be seeing another fight developing between Vex and Zezor again, with Vex able to get the overtake done. I do believe that's going to be in turn 12 here. We're going to have a bit of a look on the replay to see if we can see that overtake again happening here. We're going to be, going to have a quick refresh on our standings here. We're going to be seeing Vex, getting caught up in lap traffic, I do believe. No, that was actually Dipping Sauce ahead of them and a bit of lap traffic ahead, giving Vex a very, very poor launch. They also bounced on the curb into turn 12. A bit of a hit with the, I do believe that was Enter Midnight's 170 BMW M4 here, giving Vex just the tiniest bit of space enough to get past the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2 here and get back up to the lead of the AM-Class race here. So a pretty opportunistic overtake from Vex, but just the thing he needs here to keep this fight alive.
Yeah, that was definitely a very, very unfortunate moment for Zezor. They definitely will want that position right back. But for now, Vex has taken the position for P9. And it's going to be a very long hold for them if they are able to hold it on. But pit window is open. They do have to pit. So Zezor might think about pitting early just so that they don't have to see Vex in front of them for a long period of time. Maybe have a good run on the exit. 65 seconds is the pit stop time here in COTA. Very long pit stop, so you definitely want to make sure you do it well, do it right, have a good in lap and a good out lap just to capitalize on the time that you lost on pit stops alone.
Absolutely, indeed. And with the overtake now done for Vex here, they're going to be now again stuck trying to get past the Ferrari 296 drive here. They seem to be about equally matched on their speed so far. And looking at the speed traps, they are both holding an exactly same 257 kilometers an hour on the speed trap on the main straight. So there's going to be not much separating between these two AM drivers here. And despite the championship looking quite solid here for Vex's side here, this is absolutely going to be racing for glory. Hoping to get as good of a result as possible and end the season on a high note and perhaps even beat their main rival for the run here. So we could have seen getting really close into turn 12 here, almost able to get that overtake to stick here, but still not quite close enough on the quite close enough to make that move to stick. But they are absolutely nothing separating between them.
Yeah, definitely very close. They just need a very good opportunity, either through lap traffic or very brave braking. As you see, Zezor might have a look here, coming down into, as they do side by side, into turn 12 right now. Vex able to hold it off. No, it gets blocked off by Zezor, and Zezor takes back P8 into this next few corners. Hopefully secured it for good for the time being, as Vex might think about pitting in just because they really have lost the position. And the pit window is already at close to halfway point. It is definitely the time where most drivers start to pit in at this moment.
Yes, indeed, a very good move from Vex, from Zezor here, to get back up into the lead of the AM classification here. We're also seeing Auras of Volpes finally getting into the pits here with Blade Wolf, Newt, and Swingley finishing their own mandatory pit stop here so far. We're also seeing Simon also getting a bit close into Plasma's rear bumper here, going through turn 8 towards turn 9 here, with neither still opting to go for the pit lane so far. We're also seeing Lunatic also hopping into the pit lane so far, so hoping to maybe capitalize on an undercut for Vossi and Vossi ahead of them, maybe get back up into the fight here. Perhaps also a defensive move from considering Blade also just went to the pit lane just ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things are happening. A lot of positions are getting shuffled around right now. Definitely going to be interesting once things have settled down. But yeah, with Zezor being in the pits, I think there might have been some small incidents with Vex, because we've seen slightly the yellow flag showed up for a bit. So maybe something happened. But for now, Vex is in front with P6 as the grid slowly, as drivers start to come in for their tire change for the night.
Yes, indeed. We're also Vossi getting really close to Wushu's rear bumper here, going towards the big back straight here, heading towards turn 12. So this could be the opportunity that Vossi needs to maybe look up into a send on the inside line. They're having a bit of a peak, it looks like, but not going to be quite enough to make that send to get close enough for that move. We're also seeing a bit of lap traffic happening ahead of them. I do believe that's going to be the it's going to be the car number 145 of Swingley right ahead of them. So with Wushu and Vossi both needing to navigate that lap car ahead of them, this could be also the opportunity that Vossi needs to get past their fellow Porsche driver in the 169 car ahead of them. But I'm quite surprised neither of them have opted to go for the pit stop so far, with only 10 minutes left on the pit window. So we also see Zezors now finishing their own lap top here, with Vex still opting to stay ahead. So we're going to have to watch both of their lap time deltas very close to see if Zezors is able to get that undercut to stick and get ahead of Vex once they finally go to the pits.
Yeah, definitely. 10 minutes remaining for the pit window. We still see a number of drivers pitting in. Yep, Plasma, Simon being the two of them. Simon, as we speak, comes into the pits. Not sure where he will end up in the end of this. Wushel also has not pitted, as well as Vossi. Both Porsche drivers have not pitted. Vex, the next AM driver, also really in need of a pit stop to be able to meet the requirements of this race, as well as randomly, as well in the Ferrari, as well as Juan V in the next Porsche. A few of our top 8 right now have not completed our pit stops, so when they do complete their pit stop, it's going to be a very interesting shuffle to see where things end up. But we got a feeling most of them might not have much of a shuffle, do you think?
Yeah, we're going to have to watch closer, because now it's going to be Vex heading into the pit lane just barely on time here. And let's see if they're going to be able to get their pit stop just right, because we're going to see Zezors right behind them, just freshly overtaken Zephyr for their next position here on the track here. So now going to be Vex sitting stationary in the pit lane, hoping to get the absolute best stop possible, because now going to be this is going to be the best opportunity for Zezors to get past him and gain that margin that he needs, because if they're going to be caught up fighting between each other more and more throughout this entire race, that's going to be slowing them down even more, and perhaps giving opportunity for cars behind them to get past them. But we're going to have to watch them later, because they're going to be now Vossi and Wushu going side by side, going towards the main straight here, now towards turn 12 here, with Vossi now on the offensive line on the inside here, with deep on the inside line here, with Wushu just not able to get that space to get around here. So it's going to be that final send that Vossi just need to get ahead. That's going to be now Wushu now on the offensive, hoping to get back past Vossi here to get back up into the provisional P3 position here, hoping to get that move to send. It's going to be another bit of a dive here, going up, almost crushing the rear bumper of the fellow Porsche driver ahead of him. So it's going to be very close fighting between these two. So it's going to be, again, perhaps another strategy battle to see which one can get the better pit stop at the end of the race here. We're also going to be seeing now Vex going just past Zezos here, so Zezos was unfortunately not able to get that overtake of the undercut they would have wanted here. They're now a whopping 2.7 seconds off Vex so far here, so it's going to be an uphill battle if Zezos are going to have any chance to get back up into that fight.
Yeah, I think definitely Zezor might have messed up their pits, might have missed the pit marker a little bit, but as you can see as well, Newt of all this actually has gained positions, basically overtaken both Vex and Zezor, basically right down into P10. It seems like they're going to be very comfortable and continue to push forward as they continue to climb up into the grid. Plasma right now into the pits as to answer Simon Luck's pits, as well as to complete their requirements. Where will Plasma end up? They did not mess up their pit stops, did they? Hopefully not, as we see Simon here coming down to the last two corners, turn 19 and turn 20. Where will Plasma end up? He's about to complete their pit stops.
Yeah, Simon's now heading up on the main straight here, so it does look like Plasma was able to get the better pit stop and maintain their lead so far, looking at the lap time so far. Yes, it does indeed. Plasma was able to get quite a good run up into turn 1 here. They're all holding quite a substantial lead. Oh, no, it's going to get those side by side. Oh, it's going to be contact. Oh, no, Plasma's being hit. They got hits right up on the hairpin into turn 1 here, with Simon with a very interesting move up, and just maybe a bit too close on that line here. We're going to have to look up on the replay to see exactly what happened, perhaps from on the onboard of Plasma to see what exactly was going on here. So we're going to have to watch, just barely going a bit too deep on the inside line here and causing that incident to happen. So a very tight battle between them, but not going to be seeing if Simon Luck is going to be giving that position back to Plasma after that incident.
I don't think Simon will want to. It's still going to be a very close fight between the two of them. I don't think Plasma will really appreciate the tap, but definitely going to be feeling the inner rage that Plasma has while driving, and it's going to be a very interesting battle for the two of them for the end of the race. There's still 26 minutes remaining into this race, so a lot that could happen. It's either they settle down or Plasma is going to have a very long dive on Simon. I think the second option is very likely to happen.
Yes, we're going to have to watch very closely. We see Plasma already got really close into the back of that Aston Martin V8 going into turn 11 here, now towards turn 12, with JPEG really dashing wide to get out of the way of the two pro drivers competing for the lead of the race here so far. And we're going to be seeing Wushu heading into the pits as well here, hoping to maybe capitalize on a move here from Vossi and maintain their lead so far. We're going to have to watch them very close to see where Vossi is going to be finishing once they're done with their pit stop cycle so far. We're going to have to return to Plasma so far, still getting really close into the bumper of that Aston Martin V8, so perhaps a bit of a fire spurt into the engine of that Audi R8 to get back past them and get that move to stick, because they were not happy with that incident, and they seem to be extracting everything out of that car at the moment, just get as close to Simon as possible to get back into the lead.
But they also need to be careful not to be too greedy here. Track limits are a problem, especially in Sector 1 in this track. So long as they keep it clean, so long as they keep it aggressive, I think Plasma might have a chance to fight with Simon at the very end of the race. But so long as they keep it clean, as we see here, Wushel coming in out of the pits as Vossi comes on the back straight. I feel like Vossi might have already done the move on Wushel as they see slowly coming up onto the hill. I think, yeah, definitely has made the move here. Definitely a bit too slow. Oh, no, just barely. And almost the same incidents here.
It's almost again contact between the two Porsches again, with Wushu just barely staying ahead into turn 1, avoiding another incident similar with the leading pro drivers here with Simon and Plasma. So a very close fight, but Wushu just barely able to squeak past Vossi and maintain their lead so far after losing it into the pit lane here. So a very smart choice from Wushu to get that not quite smart, just very, very well done pit stop here to get back up into the lead of the race here. But Vossi's going to be very eager to get back up, get past their fellow Porsche again, and hopefully get that P3 spot back.
Yeah, I think you could kind of tell Vossi kind of being as aggressive as you can, but as you can see here, losing a little bit of time from Wushel because of it. So hopefully they could keep their head down, slowly work on it, maybe bank on the lap traffic to be a little bit of inconvenience for Wushel, and then maybe they could be able to make a move on Wushel for the P3 position.
Yeah, something that Plasma would also probably be wishing for is going to be this lap traffic to slowing down Simon enough to get a move going, because Plasma's going to be right up in the bumper of the Aston Martin V8 already here, now going through turns 16, 7, and 17, and towards turn 18 here, with Plasma seems to have the tires on their car fired up a bit better than Simon Luck has been so far, just hounding the back of that really wide wing, the Aston Martin V8 here, hoping to get back past them, and with not much more lap traffic ahead of them, we see, I do believe that's going to be the car of 310 of Neo ahead of it, I do believe. That could give the opportunity for Plasma and Simon to get past Simon, but looking not quite likely so far, with Simon able to really well defensively keep their car in the right spot to hold off the advances from the Audi R8.
Yeah, and if Plasma wants to make a move, it has to make soon, because remember, track here is really warm, 42 centigrade on the surface itself. It's going to be very demanding on the tires to be able to push as hard as Plasma does in these kind of conditions. So if Plasma wants to have the confidence as well as the grip to be able to overtake Simon Luck, it has to be happening within the next 2 laps, or else it's going to be very difficult, and it's all about pressuring Simon into making a mistake, which I don't think Simon ever does in Simufur.
Plasma has usually been really good at holding pressure and keeping up with pressure when there have been faster cars behind them holding off their advantage onto the Audi R8 here. But we're going to be watching very closely to see if Plasma is going to be able to apply pressure as well here. Keep close to the rear of that Aston Martin V8 and just force him to make a mistake here, because I think with how fast that Aston Martin V8 is on the straights here, I think the only opportunity Plasma is going to be having is they're just going to be forcing a mistake from Simon and then diving past them.
That's definitely a way to overtake them. But as you see Neo getting out of the way as well, I don't think Plasma is appreciative of all the blue flags being so convenient this time around. But it is what it is. Simon's going to be very happy that all the drivers are diving away, but it's going to be at the detriment of Plasma, as you see here. Plasma being better on the brakes, but the Aston Martin just having a better run out the corners in most of them.
Yes, indeed. And we're also seeing a bit of a fight developing between Vex and Nude up in the P9 position here, with Vex able to really fire up the tires on that Ferrari 296, getting close into the bumper of that Mercedes AMG here, with Vex going on the outside and Nude on the defensive inside line here, actually going side by side, with Nude getting a really poor launch into turn 11 here and causing a massive amount of lap time. It's going to be Vex just swinging right past them into P9 here. Not going to be having another chart up into towards Dipping Sauce ahead of them in P8 so far, with Zesos also right behind Nude as well here. So it seems like Nude is really struggling with that Mercedes and not able to get it fired up just as well as they would have maybe hoped for, because now we have Zesos right behind them, also looking to make an overtake past the pro driver.
I'm not sure if something might have happened during the pit stop. Maybe they did have not configured their tire pressure as well. They may have compromised something, but it seems like they're a bit slow. They are unable to put the power down. They are unable to be confident in the car. So that definitely something has happened, and I think it's more of a limp job right now for Newt just to get back home. I think they also don't want to come impede on other drivers as well, as you see. Oh, just barely as they touch. Oh no.
Oh, it's an unfortunate send from Zesos, going a bit too fast on the inside line here and collecting the side door of the Mercedes AMG. Fortunately, Nude was able to get coin, but Zesos really paid for that mistake dearly by losing massive amounts of time to Vex ahead, who is now just far away in the horizon, almost 10 seconds ahead of Zesos here. So this is exactly the last thing he needs here, and a bit of patience perhaps was required to get that move to stick.
Yeah, I think hindsight's easier than said than done. As a race car driver, we definitely want to get past them, but given how we have seen Newt struggling, it might have been a better, smarter idea just to, maybe go for the safer route. But things have happened here, as we see Rossinger right at the back of Wushel coming down into the back straight. And will they make a move? I don't think so, but weirder things have happened coming into the back straight. No, they won't, but they will definitely try to close in on the braking zone as much as they could coming into second three. Both drivers still fighting for the third position on the podium.
Yes, Fossey is very eager to get back up into that P3 position here after losing it in the pit stop battle here. We also see a similar thing happening from Plasma, still sitting behind the Aston Martin V8 of Simon Luck. We see also a bit of more lap traffic. I do believe that's going to be the car 529 of Wolfie Fox then ahead of the two pro drivers so far. So it's going to be, again, seems to be a lucky situation for Simon, with Wolf and Fox. They're probably diving out of the way into turn one here. We're going to be watching them very closely through it. Yes, it's going to be Wolf and Fox. They're just diving out of the way, giving the opportunity for Simon and Plasma to just keep on going here. But Plasma's getting really close now. Plasma's almost up into the back bumper of the number 31 Aston Martin ahead of them, but it's going to be these SS section here where there's just not going to be any space to make any kind of move to happen here. So it's going to be Plasma just hoping to stay close enough perhaps to get all the way down into turn 8 towards turn 10 and finally make a bit of a move into turn 11 here, that final tight hairpin left-hand braking zone here. We're going to be watching them very closely, both of them just balancing that car just right through turns 7 to 8 and 9 and towards turn 11 here. Again, Plasma losing a bit of time on the exit of turn 9 here, not able to get that move to stick and not getting close enough to make a send into turn 11, but they are getting very close. So this could actually be just what he needs here, because they're going to be almost touching the bumper of that Aston Martin V8 going down towards this big long straight, with now Plasma having the slipstream of the car ahead. This could be the one chance he needs to now get that move to stick here, but it doesn't look to be closer. We're going to have to watch him very close here. They're going to be just inching closer and closer and closer, but no, again, it's not going to be enough. The straight line speed of that Aston Martin V8 is just too much for the Audi to answer. They're again going to be stuck behind them for another sector here through these really tight handles before they can make another send.
Yeah, I think judging by the previous lap time, I saw Plasma's already 3/10 faster, and Simon is really just up to how Simon is able to defend from Plasma. And hopefully not open the door up for Plasma, because if they open it just enough, Plasma's going to definitely stick their nose in, as they always do. So it's definitely going to be up to how Simon defends without losing much time, because the more time they lose, the more Plasma's going to take advantage of it. It's all about how efficient they are defending, and they're definitely making Plasma work for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, Plasma's definitely working his hardest to get past the sweet roll theme Aston Martin ahead of him. They're going to be getting really close to get into the exit of turn 20 here, but unfortunately a little bit of a wiggle from the Audi R8 caused them to lose the exit and not able to get close enough to make another send to happen here towards turn 1. So again, another frustrating mistake from the Pro Esports driver here, able to get that. Oh, it's going to be a bit of contact happening between Plasma and Simon into turn 1 here. A bit of a bump on the rear bumper here, perhaps a bit of a hello and welcome. Just a little bit of a reminder to Simon ahead of that who he is actually messing with here, and perhaps just applying that pressure and just hoping that Simon will crack.
Yeah, definitely making sure Simon will crack, but I know Plasma. If Simon doesn't crack, he's gonna make sure something cracks. So Plasma's definitely gonna shove it in right next to Simon as much as they could down into the corner. As we see here, a bit close down into turn 9 and turn 10, so definitely might try to go for a send down into turn 11. Maybe, who knows? Because if they don't do it now, they definitely will not be able to do on the back straight. As we see here, Plasma actually does go for a send into turn 11. Maybe Simon has the cut back down into back straight. Maybe side by side now, both of them down into back straight. Who has the better power? Who has the better exit? I think Simon has it for now, as Plasma squeezes Simon out into the marble. Really hard to get some grip there, but Simon definitely has the upper hand now. It's up to Plasma to do a second set, maybe, as they run out of space here into the next breaking corner.
Yes, Plasma had a really good set into turn 11 here, but unfortunately Simon was able to get the cutback to stick and keep their position so far. But gonna be Plasma again now coming up on the outside of the car, and they're hoping to have another cutback on the inside going towards turn 14 and 15 here, and that's going to be Simon hoping to get that car just close enough to keep the precision, but no, it's going to be it's not enough. Plasma just barely was able to get around on the outside into turn 15 here, able to get that move to stick in a very rare spot. We're seeing overtaking happen here, so a very good send, again, with several laps of pressure applied on Simon, and that was just the tiniest bit of space that Plasma needed to get that overtake to stick, and now it's going to be him back in the lead of the race here, with Simon hoping to just apply that pressure on the Audi R8 again here and maybe have another move again. But looking so far, it's not looking to be likely with Plasma again, hoping to maybe just escape away from the Aston behind and then just inherit the lead of the race.
I think it really depends on how confident Simon is on the brakes as they try to take a look down into turn 1. Maybe not. Definitely not at this rate. But yeah, it really just comes down to how confident Simon is on the brakes on the Aston. But seems like the Audi might have better brakes, so that ship might have sailed for P2, unfortunate. As you see here, Vossi coming into P4 with Wushel. Do 7/10 the gap between the both of them, so it's definitely starting to settle down, but I don't think Vossi will like to settle down for the 4th position on the overall. As we see Vossi a little bit slidey, I think the Porsche tires are definitely giving way in these temperatures.
Yeah, with only 30 minutes left of the race to go, Vossi's gonna have to really extract everything out of that Porsche 922 here to have another chance at overtaking Wushel for the P3 spot in the overall standings here. We also see another lap car. I do believe that's going to be the car number 7 of Zebra. So I also see a yellow flag happening here. I think that was also one of the cars. That was the car number 9 of Cass, also having a bit of an accident here on the exit of that car. But also getting caught up. Oh, a bit of an awkward moment again. No. Those rear tires must be really cool. He just has no rear grip left on those tires.
Yeah, definitely. I think the track temperature really does not bode well for any sort of mistakes here. Any sort of mistakes here definitely makes your tires overinflate, makes them lose a bunch of grip, and you basically have no headroom for any sort of mistakes here. And I think the tires of Cass definitely have gone, maybe have blistered. So it's either they have to nurse it home or maybe change it to set if it gets a bit too bad. But for now, definitely surviving it to the very end of the race.
Yes, at this point, it's going to be more likely that the rear tires on these cars are going to be more like modern blue tack than actual rubber, with how slidey all of these cars have been and how little grip all of them have been having here. So it's going to be a big props for our top 4 drivers who are just able to keep their cars in one piece. We're going to be now being Simon getting really close into the rear bumper of Plasma here, going into the start-finish straight here, when it's not going to be probably close enough to make a move into turn 1 here. But seems like despite Plasma being able to get that overtake past the sweet roll themed Aston Martin V8 here, Simon is not giving up. He's still going to be staying close behind their fellow pro driver here in P1 and hoping to maybe force them to make a mistake this time. But with it's going to be really unlikely. You're going to have to watch them if how likely that is going to be, with Plasma usually being able to be very good at maintaining and resisting pressure from their drivers behind them. So it's going to be with about 11 minutes left to go. It's going to be time running short for the car number 31 driver here to hopefully get that win again.
Yeah, and I think Simon really has to pray for lap traffic, as we always do. Lap traffic has been really, really respectful in diving out the way. Not the best in terms of affecting their own race, but it has been really good for the drivers that are racing because they don't have to worry too much about the lap traffic. And I think for Simon, they definitely wish that they were slightly just so they could have a very close fight. But for now, Simon has to do all the work in terms of catching up to Plasma, maybe a few brave dives here and there just to make it over big time, as you see. Simon having a very good run, but unable to make it stick on the braking coming into turn 3.
Yeah, we can see on the main straight there where Simon was able to get closer to Plasma's rear bumper with the help of the slipstream here, but it wasn't quite enough to get the overtake to stick here. We're also seeing another car ahead, and I do believe that it's going to be, if I have a look at my standings here, that's going to be the car number 145 of Swingley that's currently ahead of this pack here. Let's hope, perhaps giving the opportunity for Plasma and Simon to have a move up on the outside or inside of Plasma here to one day get caught up in the lap traffic ahead of them. But it's going to be a couple more laps because after they are done clearing what the swing ahead of them, there's not going to be any more lap cars ahead of them. And so that's going to be the one final shot that that Simon, apologies, well, has probably to get these overtakes to stick. We're also seeing a bit of a fight happening. I do believe it's going to be between Juan V and Swingley for P14, P15 here. So this could be another interesting aspect of this race here, with these two cars not really eager to give up their position while they're also caught up in their own fight. This could also slow them down even more and slowing down Plasma and slowing down Simon even more, and giving Simon that opportunity to maybe have a bit of ascent and get that overtake to get back into the lead of the race.
Yeah, I think Plasma definitely will wish they could get out of the way as soon as possible, but given how maybe the gap might be starting out right now with between Huangvi and Swingley, that fight might have basically been settled, and it'll be a pretty easy blue flag for the both of them right now in P1 and P2.
Yeah, well, it seems like the gap has indeed opened up just as we're starting to talk about it, making this not quite an exciting of a race as we would have perhaps hoped for, but Simon is still really, really close to Plasma, just keeping the pressure up, keeping their presence zone, just revealing themselves into the mirrors of Plasma, just reminding them that, hey, I'm here, I am ready, and you're going to be mine, and that's going to be all running in Plasma's head here. So it's going to be a bit of a send going up on the inside into turn 12. It's going to be contact again between the Plasma and Simon, going now side by side through into turn 13 and turn 14, with Plasma now on the defensive line on the inside here, giving the opportunity to cut off that advance from Simon, but another bold send from the Aston Martin, able to, with now Plasma now holding up the very defensive tight inside line here, losing even more time here, but Simon is going to be really aggressive, really eager to get past the Audi R8 again here with another bold send and almost an overtake, but just not quite enough space with Plasma cutting them off at the very last opportunity.
Yeah, you have 8 minutes remaining to this race. That's basically about 4 laps, and I think Simon has noticed that you don't really have much time, so it's either now or never. Definitely a very bold move by Simon, but unfortunately, Sector 3 not really a good place for the Aston, so they have to really think about where they gotta make the move. If they want to really have to make the move, they really have to do it right before the back straight, just so they can get a very good move, very good gap, or else you're gonna see, like you see here, the Audi basically running away in Sector 3, and that's definitely not something that you want as an Aston just to get the position for him.
Yes, indeed. We're seeing a bit of a poor exit from Plasma into turn 1 here. Again, giving opportunity for Simon to crawl in closer here through the SS now towards turn 6 and turn 7 here. Their first opportunity for overtaking is going to be down in turn 11. So it's going to be all down to if Simon can just stay close enough through these sweeping left and right-hander turns here, with the lap car of Juan V just ahead of them, also giving just the worst opportunity with right ahead of Plasma on the exit of turn 8 and turn 9 here. Perhaps just the opportunity that Simon needs to get closer and get that send done into turn 11 and towards turn 12 here. We have to watch very closely now. Juan V now diving out of the way here, with Simon again getting really close to that bumper, hoping to get that best possible exit of the car and get back up into that chase for P1, and it's not looking to be, it's going to be about 4/10 gap as they're going to be now just unleashing the power of both those cars on the main straight here. It's going to be seeing if Plasma can get close, with Simon can get close. It doesn't look to be enough. So we're going to have to return to the race. We're going to be seeing a bit of a fight happening between Lunatic and Dipping Sauce down in P7 and P8. It does look like Dipping Sauce was able to get that overtake to stick just beforehand, so we're going to have to look up on the replay to see if we can maybe have a spot on what exactly happened. Going to be now a bit of an awkward exit into turn 20 here, giving Dipping Sauce the better exit and the opportunities to have a peek up on the inside. Yes, going to be Lunatic diving up on the inside, hoping to cover up that advance from the Lamborghini Huracan ahead of them. It seems like a bit too early on those brakes. Yeah, they're just compromised their exit speed, and Dipping Sauce just swung on the outside and finally got that move to stick and get up into P7. So a pretty good move from the Lamborghini driver.
Yeah, amazing overtake by Dip. They will definitely have benefits for the points, but Lunatic definitely not affected if they're fighting for the silver champ. Simon's still at the back. Swing is the next black car. Will they be able to impede? No, they would not. They're trying to get out of the way as soon as they could. But Simon right now on very close run behind the back of Plasma. Not sure when the move's gonna happen, but if they're able to play the cards right, they might be able to have a last few runs on the back straight. But that really depends on how Simon completes their sector 1.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch them very closely because there's got to be no more lap traffic happening between Plasma and the finish line. We see very distantly, I think that's going to be the cars of Reese and Randby still in their own fight respectively, but they're probably not going to be interfering with the lead fight here so far. So it's going to be all just down to Simon, just getting close enough to Plasma, applying that pressure enough and forcing Plasma to make a mistake to get that move to stick here, because it seems like Plasma is starting to gain a bit of a gap into the Aston Martin V8 behind them and keep the lead of the race here so far. But with only 5 minutes left of the race to go, we're going to have to very much pray there both the cars can just get through the finish line in one piece.
Yeah, definitely. You do not want to have any sort of drive-throughs here just to nullify your race. So definitely want to make sure that you keep yourself in check. But if you do have some extra track pads, you want to use them just to bit of an advantage, but that's not from me. But yeah, very close fight between Simon and Plasma. 6/10 actually right now. They're slightly gapping, so not sure what's gonna happen between the two of us. But Lunatic trying to get a look on Dip. Seems like they're pretty close on pace, so we'll see whoever makes a mistake. I think that will be the one that might lose out in this fight. I think that will have to be happening within the next 4 minutes of this race.
Yes, indeed. Lunatic is eager to get back past the Dipping Sauce's car ahead of them and maybe having a bit of a look out here through turn 8 towards turn 9 and maybe if they can just get that launch just right. Oh, it's going to be a slide from the McLaren 720S, and unfortunately they're going to be losing massive amounts of time on the exit towards turn 11 here. That's going to be depriving them of any opportunities to make an overtake into this hairpin section, so we're going to have to again wait another lap to get close enough to get that move to stick. We're also seeing a bit of a fight happening. I do believe that's between Moore and Casp here into the SS section here. We're going to have a quick look up on our replay to see if we can spot what exactly happened. We see Moravine currently behind Cass going towards turn 1 up, but I do believe it's going to be a bit of an awkward exit from Cass towards turn 1 that give with a big swing and move. Yeah, it's got a really slow exit from Cass here with Moravine swing on the outside of turn 2 here. A very bold move, able to hold just on the outside of that car here and get that move to stick here, and very well done here from the Ferrari 296 drive here. So we also see, just as the replay was happening, a bit of a fight happening between Vossi and Wushu, with Vossi able to get ahead of them into the final couple of minutes of the race to go here. We just missed that overtake. I do believe that's happening just into turn 90 here, with Wushu like getting really close again with these two Porsche drivers, just barely nothing separating them. Going now again for the final couple laps. I do believe there's going to be only 2 more laps left on this race here, with P1, P2, P3, and P4 all up for grabs to see who's going to be staying ahead of them, and just lots of action happening.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Wushel, Vossi is already creating a small gap behind in front of them. I think Wushel's tires have definitely lost them, as well as they're just a little bit too enthusiastic in trying to get the position back, and unfortunately that has basically made Vossi settle down for the position, but anything could happen. There's 2 laps remaining. Wushel can close in on the 1.1 second gap, but right now Simon still 6/10 behind Plasma. They have to make the move now or it's never. As they come into turn 15. Once they cross the line this lap, it's going to be the final lap of the race. Simon has to, get an answer out of this, or they might only be able to settle for P2 in this race, and that will be a very interesting, but yet it might be slightly disappointing for them, as they were definitely being able to get the P1 position from Plasma this time around.
Yes, Simon had a very impressive qualifying starting out in the pole position here, and I don't think they would be complaining getting P2 either with how well they have been driving this entire time so far. We're also seeing a bit of an overtake happening. I do believe there was a mistake happening. Oh, Lunatics went wide. He went really wide in the exit of turn 11 here, I do believe. Let's see if we can spot on the replay to see what exactly happened between them. So, Lunatics maybe having a bit of a send up on the inside. Yeah, they just went up way too fast. Way too deep on the onto the entry of turn 11 here, and they just lost massive amounts of time here. And, bit of a desperation send, it looks like, but unfortunately they're just going to be losing all that time and not able to get back close enough to Dipping Sauce to get another overtake attempt.
Luckily, they are able to not collect it in that incident, but unfortunately for them, I think that's their fight done and dusted for now. Hopefully things might happen for them, but for now it seems like it might be settled for the both of them, as both drivers coming in to the end of Sector 1, coming into Sector 2, both still pretty close to each other. Simon 5/10 into coming behind Plasma, coming into the back straight. Will Simon have a very strong send into the last corner? I think time will tell, coming into the final back straight. It's now or never. It's the last time they're able to go past this part of the track this time around, so I think we have to look very closely and see.
Yeah, it's not looking very likely for Simon with them both still being 4/10 apart going into the entry of turn 12 here, and not quite. Oh, wait, never mind. They're going to be staying. They're sending it. They're hitting it. Oh, they hit.
Oh, no,
they touch, and Simon again bumps on the side of the Audi R8 driver here. Really impressively trying to make that move to stick with the final 9 seconds of this race here, with Plasma just holding that line strong and able to stay ahead of them. But a very bold move from Plasma and from Simon to keep ahead of the race here. But Simon's still not done. He's still trying. He's still trying his absolute best to extract everything out of that car here to get past Plasma and hope they have another send up on the inside of their car here. The final shot's probably going to be somewhere in turn 18 or turn 19 or 20 here, but it seems like it's not going to be enough. Simon's going to be trying his best again, going really deep in the brakes into turn 90 here, but it's not going to be enough. Plus, it's going to be staying ahead. This is all going to be just down to that final corner around that one turn here. Across to turn 20 again. Simon like not quite able to get that move to stick, but it's going to be Plasma winning the race here. That's going to be officially confirmed. Plasma is going to be the winner and the champion of the GT3 Season 5 Championship after a very long and hard-fought season. So very well done from him so far to get all of that done. So big congratulations to him.
That has definitely been a very, very wild last lap, and that has been very interesting to see, as we see Plasma actually winning the championship for once. Actually, not for once. It's not his first time at this point, but officially winning the season after a very, very close fight for the overall championship.
And now we're also seeing Vossi crossing the finish line in P3 with Wushu right behind him in P4, which also confirms Vossi to be the champion in the silver classification race as well. So big congratulations to them. And we're going to be watching very closely. It's kind of almost a bit of a contact happening between the lap cars around here. So apologies, that was actually not the right way that we're showing here. But yeah, it was indeed Vossi who was going to be the winner of the silver classification race so far, with Wushu right behind him in P4. We see also Oras Volpes finishing the race in P5 and Blade Wolf in P6. So not the right they would have won it here, but they really fought hard for the race. We're also seeing a bit further behind. We see now Dipping Sauce in P7 here, just crossing the finish line with a bit ways off behind them and not able to get that move to stick right at the 5 minutes here. We're going to be seeing one more driver around here. It's going to be Vex. Just at the end, they just had no competition, nobody else to have them any kind of a chance. So it's going to be now Vex officially crowned the AM champion in Simufur. So well done from all of our drivers here. A very dominant job from everybody to secure their championship in the final round.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very, very, very fun last race of the season. Definitely very interesting to see every driver here fighting for every point that they can get, and I definitely appreciate all the fun that we had here in this season in Simufur.
Yes, indeed, and we're still seeing a couple more drives here crossing the finish line. It's going to be now Weiss crossing the finish line in P13 with Mooring a little bit of ways behind them in P19 and J-Bike in P21, and Asp here finally being the last driver of the racer crossing the finish line in P21. So a very, very exciting race here with only about 22 cars here on the grid here. Still a lot of exciting action happening between all of our drivers, and very, very exciting finish for sure.
That's a bit. Yeah, it has been such an amazing season this time around with all our amazing drivers here. Couldn't have thanked you all enough for participating and joining us here in Simufur. It's definitely been nice being able to commentate with you as well, Denak.
Yes, it's been a very, very fun race so far, and a big congratulations to everybody who has been with us so far throughout this entire racing here. But this is not going to be the end of it yet, because we're going to be hopefully getting our drivers, our winning championship drivers, into the interview room here to have a bit of a couple of questions to them to see how they feel like after the end of the race here. So we're just gonna have to wait a couple minutes to see if they're gonna be hopping into our green room soon here. But while we're waiting for that, any thoughts about this season so far? Because it's been a very, very wild one, and for once, it wasn't quite as a runaway victory for Plasma as you may have seen in previous seasons so far, with Kathy getting right up there towards the end. Having to fight for that. With unfortunately, they were not able to drive in the last season, so drive in the last race that gave Plasma the championship title effectively. But still, not an easy time for Plasma for sure.
Yeah, it has definitely been a very fun season to spectate as a commentator as well as a viewer as well. Just how interesting it has been. Not really about runaways, even though we do see some runaways on track itself, but as the season progresses, we see that usually we have more than one driver competing for the championship, and that has definitely been interesting for drivers too, as well as just overall audiences, just to see what things will entail every single race, and that's definitely kept the season alive for me at least.
Definitely, indeed. Now we're actually having our first driver hop into the green room here, so we're going to be having a bit of an interview with our drivers here to see. First off over here. So it's going to be our first Silver Championship Vossi, currently sitting at a very good run at the end of this race here. So big congratulations to you. It was a very hard-fought race here, but it doesn't look like you had any kind of chance for your fellow competitors to get past you.
In all honesty, that couldn't be further from the truth. My tires felt like they turned back into oil or something, like into the primitive form. But yeah, in the end it was enough, and it seemed like everyone was really struggling with that, so yeah.
Yeah, probably everybody was really struggling with those tire temperatures throughout this race here, but you seem to have been able to get right up into the top of the race here, and you had a lot of close fighting with Wushul all the way up in Pro here, so how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it was unexpected. I thought I knew from the practice server that my times were okay, but I did not think that I could keep up with Wushel, our Porsche Pro. So yeah, I'll take it.
Yep, indeed. And now that you're going to be the official champion in the silver classification here, do you think it's going to be now time to step up into the next class and get up into Pro?
I mean, that's not my decision to make, but I mean, I guess we'll see.
Indeed, we'll see about that later. But again, a big congratulations to you for this championship. I'm going to be hopefully seeing you again in future seasons next year.
I hope so too.
All right, we're going to be now bringing up our next competitor here. It's going to be Vex all the way up here. All right, Vex. Congratulations again for you as well for being able to secure a very dominant streak all the way throughout this Simufur GT3 Season 5 Championship here. You had not quite the optimum first race here, but after that it seems like you just had no troubles at all, winning every single race.
Yeah, absolute dream of a run it's been. Surprised myself a little bit, I think. Even today was, out of the whole lot, was the hardest of it. I had Zizos right up my behind the whole time. Pretty much until that pit stop cycle. But yeah, that was. I've got to give a shout out to my team because I'm not managing that without their help, without their input. Yeah, that's really a little bit lost for words, even 6 weeks on, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks like you had the entirety of Blue here just cheering you on here in the chat as well. So, any words you want to be saying to your teammates and to your race engineer who was probably there in the background just cheering you on the entire time?
Yeah, they've been an absolutely massive help. I think I've not even been here 6 months yet. I think it was maybe about 6 months ago that I joined these guys, and they've been an absolute dream to work with. Yeah, just can't put it into words. Literally can't put it into words. Like to come from what I was in Friday Night Lights, which was pacey but scrappy, and in less than 6 months to turn it around and be able to do that is, yeah, that's a credit to them more than anything.
Yes, it was indeed a very good development we have seen from you throughout the season here. So, do you think you're going to be now all the way up in silver, or perhaps even in bro next time? Next time we're going to be seeing you here on track.
We'll see. We'll see what they reckon. We'll see what the admins reckon. I think pro might be a stretch, but regardless what it is, I'm going to put 100% into it. Like this is something I've committed to a lot of time this year. And I want to keep improving, so whatever it is, I'm going to push 100%. Doesn't matter whether it's silver or pro.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to be seeing you again here in our future races here. But we're going to be, again, a big congratulations to you for this win here. Hopefully going to be seeing you again very soon for the next race.
Thank you, guys.
And now, finally, it's time for our big guy. It's going to be the cat, the furry. It's going to be Plasma. Hello, Plasma. Congratulations on being the champion of the Simufur GT3 Season 5 season. It was certainly not an easy race for you, or an easy championship for you, for sure, with Cappy still in your heels, keeping you honest the entire time.
Yeah, it was definitely a busy season. The season started off perfect, and then come Misano, it basically all started falling apart. Yeah, I haven't had to work that hard in ACC for quite a while, to be completely honest. It was a shame that, unfortunately, Cappy couldn't attend today. So it's kind of... It doesn't make it as sweet because I think our pace was right on par with each other. And Simon had just pushed up that last step to match us. So it would have been a really nice three-way battle to finish off the season. So I believe, at least, he would have been right there with me. But yeah, it's been tough. The Audi has had some growing pains with me as well. The first season that I've really driven it hard. Quite a bit of learning and things that I've taken away from it. And even in this race, there was things that's taking away that were picking up little things here and there for me. But yeah, no, it was tough.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Simon was really keep running you through your paces. But we saw a bit of an incident happening between you two as well. With I think it was in the exit of the pit lane just as you were coming out of the pit. With a bit of an incident happening there. Do you wanna any words about that?
Yeah, I think it was just you didn't see me. I had already committed to turn in, knowing that I at least should be a lot of that space at the apex, because I can't see him anywhere unless I'm looking to the right in a left-hand turn. So I just kind of assumed it was there. He didn't see me. It took a little bit of damage. I think he did too. I could see some scrapes and bumps on his car, but we both carried on. Wasn't the end of our race, so water under the bridge.
Yeah, always good to see some good sportsmanship from both of you. So now that you're again at big championship, we already won the M2 class championship here, so it's gonna be off to plat with you then.
Well, I already have my platinum after winning a couple championships, so I do already have that in the bag. I guess that's the only way to go. I guess I have things coming in the background that will, I guess, maybe solidify me into that, if you could say.
Fair enough. So now that we are gonna be the end of the year here, gonna be the final race of the season here. So any words you want to be saying to your fans here in the chat and just for Simufur in general?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been great getting pushed farther than I thought I was ever going to, especially in the GT3s here. It's really nice to see quite a few people step up and maximize the pace of the sim and kind of have season-long battles. So I think, especially in the pro class, we had some crazy battles that were going on. Unfortunately, kind of my big announcement is this is my end in Simufur. Probably not for just individual races, but with those things that I talked about in the background, I will actually have to step aside from stewarding and running week-to-week things as a driver, as race director. So unfortunately, that is going to be the end of that for me at the end of this year. Off to bigger and better things that I do unfortunately have to focus on a bit more in the sim racing world, but I'll still be around kind of Discord running in any ancillary races, maybe one-offs here and there, but yeah, that is a good way to close it all off, but unfortunately that is the end of my championship runs.
No was definitely a good to have us over here. It was definitely a very good way to cap up a very exciting and very good season here. So again, big congratulations to you. And maybe at least if we're not going to see you on track, we're going to be seeing you as maybe a guest on our streams or as a commentator, perhaps in Twitch. But we're going to have to see about that later. But again, big congratulations to you, and we're going to be wishing you all a very, very good end of the year.
Thank you.
And that's going to be the end of our race here. It's been a very fun year so far. It's going to be also the end of all of our racing for 2023. Next time, you're going to be seeing us in 2024 for even more exciting racing happening here. And there's going to be very, very good stuff in the works here. So, Newbie, what do you think?
It has been an amazing. It has been an amazing season this time around. Amazing drivers. It's a bit sad that we're gonna see Plasma calling it done for the moment. I think for until onto better things in the future. But it's a proper send off for him. It's a bit sad. Being able to race with him. It has been a privilege to be able to race with him. So. Hopefully they have better things down the line. We definitely will miss them here in Simufur. But yeah, it's been a very fun season to commentate as well as to spectate. Sometimes I wish I was on the grid, but it has definitely been a very fun experience just to be here with you, Denak, on the commentators booth.
Yes, it has been a privilege to be here with you as well, commentating on all this really fun, exciting racing action throughout this entire year. And hopefully we're going to be doing that again even more next year. We have lots of things to look forward to. But for now, we're going to have to put an end to Simufur for this year. And we're going to be with Christmas almost coming up. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, all of those things. And from everybody here at Simufur, we're going to be saying you a big thank you to everybody. You fans, you're the ones that make this thing happen here. And all of your support, just tuning into every single one of these streams here. That's the thing that matters. And as long as you keep enjoying the content we produce here, we're going to keep doing it here. And as long as you keep showing up for the races here, we're going to keep doing those races as well here. So again, from me and again from everybody here, we just hope you're all going to keep showing up. And just a massive thank you to everybody. And yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say here before I start getting you all teary-eyed here. So I think we'll just put an end to a very fun 2023 in Simufur. And again, for even better and greater ventures in 2024. So from me, from Newbie, from everybody, a very big good night.
Here's next year's, guys. Ciao.